Chapter 527. The two old men, Fang Sheng and Fang Si, stood on the ocean of void respectively. Their auras were like divine beings. King Jin was barely breathing. He raised his head to look at the two old men. His face was filled with excitement as if he had just survived a disaster. "Palace masters, please save me. I'm still of great use to the sixth prince. You can't just leave me in the lurch." "Shut up." Deputy Palace Master Fang Si snorted coldly. His magic power, as dark as ink, pressed down on King Jin and interweaved into numerous black fishing lines, piercing into King Jin's limbs and bones, leaving numerous tiny bloody holes on his body. The black fishing lines had some kind of ability. They extracted traces of strange black chi from King Jin's body and actually suppressed his critical injuries. The Palace Master Fang Sheng, on the other hand, was expressionless. He reached out his hand and clawed at King Jin from afar. Traces of white magic power immediately interweaved into a mysterious and huge fishing net. Fang Sheng shook the fishing net and spread it in King Jin's direction. Then, he pulled King Jin away from his original spot from 10,000 zhang away. When he looked again, King Jin had already appeared in the huge net out of nowhere. He was pulled to Fang Sheng's side and casually tossed to the few clusters of immortal clouds behind him along with the net. "Marquis White Robe. Since you want to take King Jin's life, fight with us first." The two of them stared at Ning Fan coldly. The atmosphere was extremely tense. Ning Fan's eyes turned cold. Fang Si's fishing line was very strange. He could not see through its specific ability. Fang Sheng's attack was extremely fast. The fishing net was also very strange. If it wasn't for Ning Fan's incredible eyesight, he would not have been able to see how Fang Sheng controlled the fishing net to take King Jin away. In just a short while, Ning Fan was convinced that the Palace Master and Vice Palace Master of the Serene Heaven Palace were not easy to deal with. They were extremely strong opponents. At the same time, Ning Fan was a little suspicious about their intentions. They didn't seem to come to save King Jin. Instead, they seemed to have other intentions. On the surface, they seemed to want to protect King Jin and fight against Ning Fan. However, their words and actions were somewhat contradictory. They had obviously saved King Jin but they just casually left him aside. It didn't make sense. If what the two of them said was true, that King Jin was of great use to the sixth prince and was so important that he had to be saved, their first task after rescuing King Jin should be to bring him away from here. Their top priority was to protect King Jin's life instead of staying here and entangling with Ning Fan endlessly, putting King Jin in danger. What did he mean by, "If you want to take King Jin's life, you must fight with us first"? Their words seemed to be hinting to Ning Fan that if he defeats the two of them, he would be able to kill King Jin at will. If he wants to kill King Jin, he would have to fight both of them. It seemed like the two of them wanted to use King Jin as bait to lure Ning Fan into a battle with them. Is the reason why these two people showed up because they came for me? Ning Fan's eyes narrowed as he vaguely had a guess. He did not immediately fight with the two. Instead, he took a few steps back and looked on coldly. "Since this person is of great use to the sixth prince, I will give him face and not kill him. You guys can take him away." Ning Fan intentionally pointed at King Jin and said. Fang Sheng and Fang Si were stunned. Obviously, they did not expect that Ning Fan would actually give up on killing King Jin. This was completely different from the information they received about Ning Fan's character. Logically speaking, after being threatened by the two of them several times, Ning Fan should have fought them without caring about anything. Why did he choose to give up? If Ning Fan doesn't fight them, wouldn't their plan fail to be completed? Just like what Ning Fan had guessed, the reason why the two of them showed up at this place was not to save King Jin. Instead, it was because they were ordered by the sixth prince, Yunyomu, to find something to test Ning Fan, indeed, the reason why the Serene Heaven Palace supported Jin and nurtured King Jin was because King Jin was of some use to the sixth prince. However, that was just a minor use that was dispensable. It was definitely not as important as this time to test Ning Fan. The sixth prince ordered Fang Sheng and Fang Si to fight Ning Fan and to test him during the battle. For the sake of this plan, it did not matter even if they had to abandon King Jin. What Fang Sheng and Fang Si did not know was that Ning Fan had already suspected them of having ulterior motives. Seeing that Ning Fan had given up on killing King Jin, the two of them no longer had any reason to fight him. Fang Si let out a cold humph and took a step forward, blocking Ning Fan's path of retreat. His aura force turned into a gigantic black mountain, pressing down on Ning Fan's head. Marquis White Robe, why are you in such a hurry to leave? This old man is the Vice Palace Master of the Serene Heaven Palace, Fang Si. I've long heard of your remarkable abilities, Marquis White Robe. Today, I've specially come to ask for your guidance. Fellow Daoist, by fleeing without a fight, are you afraid of this old man? Fang Si had clearly saved King Jin, but he insisted on fighting Ning Fan. As expected, he had ulterior motives. Ning Fan's eyes narrowed. The reason why he pretended to say that he would let King Jin go was just to test the motives of the two palace lords. At this moment, he was completely sure that Fang Sheng and Fang Si had made an appearance here because they were plotting against him. Saving King Jin was just an excuse. Since Fang Si wanted to fight, Ning Fan would not hesitate to do so. He wanted to see what exactly Fang Si was planning. Since you want to fight, then make your move. Ning Fan's eyes flashed with cold light. His aura force soared to the sky like an ancient sword hanging in the heavens, shattering Fang Si's black mountain into countless pieces. Fang Si was indeed very strong. However, to the current Ning Fan, he might not necessarily be invincible. Fang Si's eyes widened slightly. He did not expect that his aura force would be easily broken by Ning Fan. His initial underestimation towards Ning Fan was completely dispelled. He also realized that Ning Fan was a strong opponent. Thus, he no longer held back. He soared into the sky and took out a treasure. Tai E 5 Element Scrolls. Fang Si did not hold back. As soon as he attacked, he took out 5 ancient scrolls. They were the magic treasures of an ancient cultivator that he had found in a secret place. Each of the 5 scrolls had different drawings that represented the 5 elements. The 5 scrolls unfurled in the wind. A vast power of the 5 elements burst out from the scrolls, turning into 5 extreme mountains of 5 colors. The colors were gold, green, blue, red and yellow respectively. All of them pressed down on Ning Fan's head. Each of the extreme mountains was 10,000 zhang tall. Their magic power was vast enough to suppress a void inquiry stage cultivator. When the 5 mountains combined into one, they could even suppress an ordinary void pierce stage cultivator. All of the cultivators in Lin Shui City were shocked by Fang Si's terrifying magic treasures. If the 5 extreme mountains fall, the entire area within 100,000 li of Lin Shui City would be razed to the ground. Not even a single blade of grass would be left. Ji He, Lan Mei and Bai Lu were also sitting on the seats of Yu country. Each of them was looking at Ning Fan with worry in their eyes. Ning Fan looked at the cultivators around him and sighed softly. There were many cultivators here who were his old acquaintances. Besides, there were also the women he loved. No matter what, it was impossible for him to avoid Fang Si's attack. The only thing he could do was to fight against him. He must not let the 5 extreme mountains fall and hurt those beautiful women. Yellow Dragon 7 Tokens. Ning Fan flew into the sky. All of a sudden, he took out 7 layers of the Yellow Dragon token and summoned 7 layers of yellow skies. Using his great magic power, he lifted the 7 layers of yellow skies and rose against the sky, colliding with the 5 extreme mountains. The 5 extreme mountains crumbled one after another. 5 layers of the 7 layers of yellow skies were also destroyed. The impact of the collision was earth-shattering. The city walls of Lin Shui City were destroyed one after another. Even the mountain ranges of Song Country had collapsed due to the collision. Even though the Yellow Dragon's 7 tokens managed to block the 5 extreme mountains, Ning Fan did not feel relaxed at all. All of a sudden, his eyes flashed with surprise. Black fishing lines that were as dense as raindrops shot out from each of the 5 broken extreme mountains. They easily pierced through the remaining 2 layers of yellow skies. Under the attack of the black fishing lines, the Yellow Dragon's 7 tokens suddenly turned into dust as if they were decaying. What kind of ability does this black fishing line actually have? It's so strange that it can corrode magic treasures. Ning Fan did not mind losing the Yellow Dragon's 7 tokens. After all, he had as many magic treasures as he wanted. However, Feng Xi's black fishing line ability really made Ning Fan feel a little fearful. Even though Ning Fan's physical body was strong, his physical body would probably rot if he was hit by the black fishing line. Even a 2-star divine weapon might not be able to withstand the corrosive power of the fishing line. The surprise in Ning Fan's eyes did not escape Feng Xi's observation. Humph! The famous Marquis White Robe is just as so. Even though Feng Xi spoke ruthlessly, his heart was filled with disappointment. This young man doesn't seem to recognize my fishing line ability. That surprised expression of his doesn't seem fake. Could it be that it's just a coincidence that he knows the mutual death technique of the Shedding Orchid sect? Could it be that this young man hasn't obtained the inheritance of the Shedding Orchid sect and doesn't know the whereabouts of the immemorial fisherman's Mino? Feng Xi shook his head slightly. No matter what, he still needed to test him again. He pointed at the Tai 5 elemental scrolls again and activated the second transformation of this treasure. This Tai 5 elemental scrolls was a magic treasure of an ancient cultivator. Because it was severely damaged, its destructive power was only equivalent to a high-grade mortal void magic treasure. However, its ability was definitely not to be underestimated. The transformation of this treasure was divided into 3 stages. They were the 5 mountains, 5 seas and 5 dragons. Previously, when Feng Xi used this treasure to unleash the attack of the 5 extreme mountains, it was the attack of the 5 mountains. What he was going to display now was the attack of the 5 seas. Gee! As Feng Xi pointed with his finger, the 5 scrolls each released the power of the 5 elements, turning into a 5-colored sea. The waves swept across the sky and drowned Ning Fan in an instant. Ning Fan stood in the middle of the waves, enduring the 5 types of attacks from the 5-colored waves. The coldness of water, the scorching heat of fire, the devouring power of wood, the crushing power of earth, the slashing power of metal. In just an instant, Ning Fan's body was already covered with many wounds. Blood kept flowing out. Without hesitation, Ning Fan summoned his primordial lightning armor and used the Black Star technique to heal his wounds. Finally, he managed to withstand the attack of the 5-colored waves. He stepped on the waves, ignoring the attacks of the waves. His essence chi flowed through his arms. It was as if he had the power to overturn mountains and overturn seas. Then, he used both of his hands to tear the waves apart. His primordial lightning armor isn't weak at all. It actually withstood the second attack of the Tai 5 elemental scrolls. But so what? With the power of his current lightning armor, it won't be able to withstand the decaying power of the immemorial fishing lines. Even though what I have learned is just the incomplete technique of the immemorial fishing lines, even an absolute void stage cultivator might not be able to withstand it. Feng Xi's magic power flowed out rapidly. He suddenly performed a hand seal and countless black fishing lines emerged from the scattered 5-colored waves, piercing towards Ning Fan. Without hesitation, Ning Fan summoned his 8 black burning wings. While retreating rapidly, he took out a few mortal void magic treasures and threw them at the fishing lines, using them to wear down the power of the fishing lines. As soon as the few mortal void magic treasures came into contact with the fishing lines, they were all pierced and turned into rotten pieces. Even though Ning Fan had retreated extremely quickly, his primordial lightning armor was still damaged by the black fishing lines. Once again, Ning Fan had a clear understanding of the destructive power of the black fishing lines. Unless his cultivation base breaks through to the absolute void stage, it will be very difficult for him to withstand the attack of these fishing lines head-on. As expected, he doesn't recognize the immemorial fishing lines technique. Fine. I'll use the third attack to test him one last time. Fong Si activated the Tai 5 elemental scrolls for the last time. The power of the 5 elements on the 5 scrolls turned into 5 gigantic dragons that soared in the sky. Flame Dragon, Ice Dragon, Earth Dragon, Wood Dragon and Lightning Dragon. Each of the gigantic dragons was 6,000 zhang long. Each of them had the strength of an unrivaled Void Inquiry stage expert. Even a Void Pierce stage expert would find it hard to withstand the joint attack of the 5 dragons. More importantly, Fong Si would also sneak attack Ning Fan with the terrifying black fishing lines during his attacks. From Fong Si's point of view, Ning Fan would definitely not be able to withstand this attack. Fong Si did not have the intention to kill Ning Fan. After all, Ning Fan was useful to the Rain Sovereign. Without the Rain Sovereign's order, no one would dare to touch him. This attack would at most injure Ning Fan a little. Fong Si's initial purpose was just to test Ning Fan. He did not harbor any hostility towards him. There's no need to watch anymore. This young man is definitely not a match for me. After this round of attacks ends, let's bring King Jin back to the Serene Heaven Palace and report to the 6th Prince. Fong Si transmitted his voice to Fong Sheng with a confident tone of victory. As he pointed his finger, the 5 gigantic dragons let out deafening dragon roars and spat out 5-colored dragon light. As soon as the 5-colored dragon light is unleashed, Ning Fan would at least be severely injured. Ning Fan did not dodge or evade. Facing the 5 gigantic dragons, he just closed his eyes and thought quickly. It was not difficult to break the joint attack of the 5 dragons. It was as easy as breaking the 5 mountains and 5 seas. The difficult part was how to deal with the black fishing line that was hidden within the 5 dragons' attack. That black fishing line looks a little familiar to me. It's just like the white Dao line that I saw when I sent Ninggu to his reincarnation. That white line is the Dao line of life while this black line is similar to the Dao line of life. However, its power is the opposite. Could it be the Dao line of death? No. It's not the real Dao line of death. Even though the black fishing line that Fong Si used looks similar to the Dao line of death, it doesn't look like it. There is no Dao power in his fishing line. It's just a deliberate imitation. I can't be wrong. This black fishing line must be an imitation of the Dao line of death. In that case, the white fishing net that Fong Sheng used just now should be a divine ability that imitates the Dao line of life. Little Yu'er said that the Dao line of life and death is a divine ability that only life immortal realm experts can master. Since these two people can imitate the divine ability of life immortal realm experts, it's no wonder that the black fishing line is so difficult to deal with. Ning Fan opened his eyes and raised his palm. He looked at the traces of white Dao line on his palm and fell into deep thought. Fong Si can only imitate the Dao line of death. I, on the other hand, can see the Dao line of life. By using life to subdue death, perhaps I can break the divine ability of that black fishing line. Ning Fan stared at the 5 enormous dragons that were whistling in the sky. All of a sudden, he activated his Fuli demon blood and performed a hand seal to perform a technique. 5 gigantic black tombstones appeared in the sky one after another. Each of the tombstones was surrounded by the shadows of black dragons. 5 Burial Dragon Technique. The 5-colored enormous dragons that Fong Si summoned belonged to the 5 elements. However, the 5 Burial Dragon Technique specialized in breaking the 5 elements. When the 5 dragons die, the black dragons live. When the 5 elements die, the 5 graves live. Ning Fan changed his hand seal and the 5 tombstones suddenly smashed towards the 5 enormous dragons, causing them to spurt out blood and fall from the sky. What was even more frightening was that the 5 tombstones suddenly produced the sealing power of the black dragons, sealing all the power of the 5 elements that the 5 enormous dragons possessed into the tombstones. The 5 tombstones continued to smash down and countless black shadows of the tombstones landed on the Tai 5 elemental scrolls. The 5 scrolls that were floating in the sky were all shattered by the tombstones. All of them were destroyed. My Tai 5 elemental scrolls. Fong Xi's face was filled with astonishment. He did not expect Ning Fan to be able to destroy his supreme treasure. Before the first round of astonishment could fade away, the second round of astonishment struck him even more violently. As the 5 dragons were sealed, the countless black fishing lines that Fong Xi had hidden in the 5 dragons broke out from the tombstones and pierced towards Ning Fan with unstoppable force like raindrops. This time, Ning Fan no longer dodged the attack of the black fishing lines. He raised his palm and imitated Fong Xi's black fishing lines. He drew out countless white fishing lines and scattered them in the sky, colliding with the black fishing lines. Zzz, there was no earth-shattering sound. There was only a strange sizzling sound. The fishing lines of 2 different colors strangely cancelled each other out. Fong Xi's black fishing line technique was broken in a direct confrontation. How is this possible? Fong Xi stared at the scene in front of him in disbelief. He was very sure that the white fishing lines that Ning Fan drew out had absolutely nothing to do with the immemorial fisherman's Mino painting. It was just a magic technique that Ning Fan learned on the spot. What he could not believe was that the white fishing lines that Ning Fan drew out contained an extremely terrifying existence of Dao power. He had absolutely no idea what the white fishing lines were condensed from. With Fong Xi's current cultivation base, how could he possibly know that the white fishing lines that Ning Fan drew out were the Dao line of life? Just as Fong Xi was lost in thought, Ning Fan flapped his 8 black burning wings and attacked him forcefully. Ning Fan channeled all of his magic power and essence qi into his palm and sent out 108 layers of palm imprints towards Fong Xi. Ning Fan was becoming more and more skillful in displaying the execution devil palm. With his current cultivation base, he actually gave Fong Xi a feeling that he could not withstand it. Not good. It's not easy to withstand this palm attack. Fong Xi stared at the gigantic palm imprint of the execution devil palm and his eyes widened in astonishment. His strongest ability was undoubtedly the immemorial fishing line technique. However, it was cancelled out by Ning Fan's Dao line of life. It was impossible for him to reform the fishing lines within a short period of time. As for his strongest magic treasure, the Tai 5 elemental scrolls, it was destroyed by Ning Fan's 5 graves dragon burial technique. With Fong Xi's other magical treasures and divine abilities, none of them were strong enough to resist the execution demon palm. In a panic, Fong Xi summoned a small green shield and placed it in front of him. He then immediately turned into a ray of light and retreated in an attempt to dodge the demonic palm. The small green shield was a mid-grade mortal void defensive magic treasure. However, it was turned into ashes by the execution devil palm in just an instant. Fong Xi's escape light was not fast enough, but the speed of the palm print was even faster. At this moment, Fong Xi no longer had the calmness he had when he was controlling the fishing line. All he wanted to do was to dodge the demonic palm attack, but no matter how hard he tried, he was unable to do so. Ah! A blood-curdling scream rang out in the sky. Fong Xi's eyes were filled with shock as he vomited blood and fell from the sky. He, the dignified Vice Palace Lord of the Serene Heaven Palace and a dignified Void Pierce Stage Cultivator, had actually lost to Ning Fan. Looking at Fong Xi who was falling from the sky like a kite with a broken string, Ning Fan did not chase after him. Instead, he immediately consumed a pill to recover his magic power and coldly stared at a certain direction in the sky. You've been waiting for a long time. Are you still not going to show yourself? Pa! 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 Suddenly, a series of applause rang out in the empty sky. A young man wearing black embroidered robes suddenly appeared. This young man's long hair was tied to one side. There was a deep scar on his face that was so deep that his bones could be seen. Both of his eyes were squinted all the time, carrying an unfathomable smile. Although this person was smiling, he gave Ning Fan a cold feeling that came from the depths of his bones. This person is very dangerous. Heh. Marquis White Robe has great skills. You are obviously just at the Void Glimpse stage, but you managed to defeat Fong Si, who is at the Void Pierce stage, by relying on your ancient devil abilities. It really surprised me. The young man with a scar was still smiling. Be careful. This person is a cultivator at the first heavenly layer of the Void Fragmentation realm. Moreover, his body contains both life and death chi. It is clearly a sign that he has comprehended the Tao line of life and death. This person cannot be underestimated. Luo Yu reminded Ning Fan in the profound Yin world. Ning Fan, of course, knew that the young man with a scar was not to be underestimated. After all, he could feel an extremely strong sense of danger from this person. Since this person would appear in this place, Ning Fan had already vaguely guessed his identity. Scarlet Heaven Palace Lord Ning Fan greets the Poison Cloud Prince. The Poison Cloud Prince's name was Yunyomu. He was ranked 6th among the 7 princes. He was the prince who was in charge of the Serene Heaven Palace. Ning Fan's mind raced as he secretly pondered about the purpose of Yunyomu's visit. From Fong Si's various actions, Ning Fan could guess that Fong Si was under Yunyomu's order to test him. Ning Fan had no idea what exactly they were testing him for. However, seeing that Yunyomu did not seem to be hostile towards him, Ning Fan guessed that they probably did not get what they wanted from him. Just as Ning Fan was pondering, Yunyomu suddenly opened his eyes. His dark green pupils flashed with a cold light like that of a poisonous snake. He took out an ancient painting and spread it in front of Ning Fan. Have you seen this before? His tone did not allow anyone to lie. Ning Fan did not expect that Yunyomu would behave in such a strange manner. However, his expression did not change at all. Instead, he indifferently glanced at the painting. Without a doubt, it was a painting that had just been created not long ago. The ink had yet to dry. In the painting, there was a fisherman wearing a black straw raincoat. He was holding a black fishing rod and fishing line. Beside him was a white fishing net. He was sitting in the middle of a boat and fishing alone in the cold river. I've never seen it before. There was no need for Ning Fan to lie. His expression naturally did not show any signs of falsehood. Is that so? It turns out to be a misunderstanding. I apologize for my rudeness. Yunyomu narrowed his eyes again and revealed a harmless smile. All of a sudden, he drew a dark green sword from his waist and slashed at Fong Si and King Jin with lightning speed. The sword that he slashed at King Jin directly turned him into a pile of meat paste. Even his primordial spirit died before it could escape. As for the sword that he slashed at Fong Si, it chopped off his left arm. 6th Prince, what do you mean by this? Ning Fan asked expressionlessly. Marquis White Robe is the Palace Lord of the Scarlet Heaven Palace, while Fong Si is just the Vice Palace Lord of the Serene Heaven Palace. Today, Fong Si attacked Marquis White Robe and it can be considered as an offense against his superior. Therefore, I decided to punish him a little as a form of compensation to Marquis White Robe. I hope that Marquis White Robe won't hold a grudge against me just because of Fong Si's small mistake. Yunyomu seemed to always be smiling with his eyes squinted. Of course, I can also give you other forms of compensation. As long as Marquis White Robe requests it and I can do it, I will never refuse. Ning Fan remained silent. He stared at Yunyomu as if he wanted to see through his true intentions. This person's actions were completely random. No one could figure out what he was thinking. Just as Ning Fan was pondering about Yun Yomu's intentions, Luo Yu, who was in the profound Yin world, fell into deep shock after seeing the painting. The immemorial fisherman's Mino painting. There's no mistaking it. The painting that Yun Yomu is holding is an imitation of the immemorial fisherman's Mino painting. The immemorial fisherman's Mino painting. It's one of the 4 ancient paintings that are rumored to contain the Tao path of life and death. Chapter 528. Ning Fan, the painting that Yun Yomu showed you is an imitation. The original painting that he imitates is called the immemorial fisherman's Mino painting. It is one of the 4 ancient paintings. The great Tao is hidden in the painting, and it is something that countless true immortals dream of obtaining. The reason why Yun Yomu sent people to probe you is because he suspects that you know the whereabouts of the 4 ancient maps. Luo Yu's reminder sounded in Ning Fan's mind. Ning Fan's heart was filled with astonishment, but he did not show it on his face. The immemorial fisherman's Mino painting. 4 ancient diagrams. This was the first time he heard of the archaic fisherman's picture. Even though he didn't know what it was, since it could cause so many immortals to desire it, it must be a treasure. If Yun Yomu suspected that Ning Fan knew the whereabouts of the map, it would make sense for him to send someone to probe Ning Fan. However, why did Yun Yomu think that Ning Fan might know the whereabouts of this map? He could not figure it out. However, Ning Fan was certain that he had absolutely nothing to do with this painting. Even if Yun Yomu really wants this painting, there was no need for him to look for him. Looking at Ning Fan's calm expression from beginning to end, Yun Yomu thought to himself, could it be that this young man really does not know the whereabouts of the immemorial fisherman's woven straw painting? Yun Yomu had once obtained an imitation of the primordial fisherman's Mino from an ancient cultivator's ruin. It also contained the incomplete copies of the primordial fishing line and the creation fishing net. With these 2 incomplete techniques, Yun Yomu even managed to comprehend the Tao line of life and death. Moreover, he managed to cultivate some of the life and death chi in his body. His combat strength was no small matter. He could even put up a fight against a cultivator at the 2nd heavenly layer of the void fragmentation realm. If Yun Yomu's comprehension of the life and death chi improved a little, he would have a high chance of breaking through life and death and ascending to become an immortal. Therefore, Yun Yomu placed his attention on the primordial fisherman's Mino. He searched through the ancient ruins and finally found a clue in one of the ancient cultivator ruins. According to rumors, the founder of the Shedding Orchid sect had once obtained the immemorial fisherman's Mino painting, but it was lost in the end, and its whereabouts were unknown. The Shedding Orchid sect used to be a sect in the Rain world, but it had already fallen countless years ago. Its ruins were in the immortal Burning Valley. Yun Yomu entered the immortal Burning Valley several times, but he did not find any clues about the immemorial fisherman's straw painting. During the Battle of 100 Sects, Ning Fan had displayed the mutual death technique in the Giant Devil clan. According to Yun Yomu's investigation, this technique was exactly the technique that the Shedding Orchid sect had been famous for a period of time. Yun Yomu naturally suspected that Ning Fan had obtained the Tao inheritance of the Shedding Orchid sect. He suspected that Ning Fan knew the whereabouts of the immemorial fisherman's woven cowhide painting. However, after several attempts, Yun Yomu could not help but believe that Ning Fan had never heard of the immemorial fisherman's Mino before. Since Ning Fan did not know the whereabouts of the map, there was no need for Yun Yomu to target Ning Fan and become his enemy. Marquis White Robe seems to have some complaints against me. But you don't have to worry. I don't have any enmity towards you, only goodwill. This prince and Old Man Chu are in charge of the Serene Heaven Palace together, and this prince has heard of Marquis White Robe's fame from Old Man Chu more than once. Now that I've seen it for myself, it's really extraordinary. With Marquis White Robe's innate talent, I'm afraid it's highly possible for him to break through to the void fragmentation realm in the future. Yun Yomu narrowed his eyes with a faint smile. Is that so? Ning Fan did not comment on Yunyomu's words. Yunyomu seemed easygoing on the surface, but he was cold and cruel on the inside. From how he casually killed King Jin and cut off Fong Xi's arm, Ning Fan could tell that he was a ruthless and cold-blooded person. Among the 7 princes of the Rain Palace, the eldest prince, Yun Tianjue, guarded the Great Heaven Palace. People called him the white-robed sword god, but he was not the biological son of the Rain Sovereign. The second prince, Yun Xiaoxiang, guarded the vast Heaven Palace and called himself the Imperial Cloud Prince. The third prince, Yun Bushu, guarded the profound Heaven Palace and called himself the Idle Cloud Prince. He was the only prince who had a friendly relationship with Yun Tianjue. Just like Yun Tianjue, he was not the biological son of the Rain Sovereign. The fourth prince used to guard the Yang Heaven Palace. However, he was killed by Yun Tianjue with a single sword strike in the end. Since then, the Yang Heaven had no master. The fifth prince guarded the Vermilion Heaven Palace. His name was Yun Zhongyan and he called himself the Flaming Cloud Prince. The sixth prince, Yun Yomu, called himself the Poison Cloud Prince and guarded the Serene Heaven Palace together with Chu Chang'an. The seventh prince, Yun Jinghong, called himself the Rainbow Cloud Prince. He guarded the Scarlet Heaven Palace that Ning Fan was in. Other than the 7 great palaces that were guarded by the 7 princes, the remaining 2 great palaces, the Completion Heaven Palace and the Changing Heaven Palace, were guarded by Yun Daoku and the other 4 great void fragmentation realm experts. The Rain Sovereign, the 7th prince and the 4 great void fragmentation realm experts. They were the strongest combat power in the Rain Immortal world. Ning Fan's thoughts raced. Yunyomu's cultivation base might not be the highest among the princes. However, just based on the life and death chi in his body alone, he was definitely a dangerous person. Fong Xi's black fishing line technique was definitely taught to him by Yunyomu. Since Fong Xi was already so powerful, Yunyomu must be even more terrifying. I have not been strict enough with my subordinates. I have actually offended Marquis White Robe. I'm willing to give Marquis White Robe some compensation. Yunyomu paused for a moment and waved his hand to take out an exquisite storage pouch. He then passed it to Ning Fan and said with a smile. I'll give these little toys to Marquis White Robe as a little compensation for me. Farewell. Yunyomu narrowed his eyes and flicked his sleeve. A vast magic power swept up Fong Sheng and Fong Xi, and they vanished without a trace as they swaggered off. Phew. That terrifying fellow has finally left. He patted her chest. She was very worried that Yunyomu would hurt Ning Fan. Seeing that Yunyomu had left, she naturally heaved a sigh of relief. The entire Lin Shui city was dead silent. No one dared to speak casually. Only the sounds of saliva being swallowed could be heard. The city lord of Yu Country's 7 Apricot City was actually Marquis White Robe, who was famous in the Rain world. With Ning Fan around, who would dare to provoke Yu Country in the future? Even the Vice Palace Lord of the Serene Heaven Palace was defeated by Ning Fan. Even the sect master of the martial sect was scared away by Ning Fan. Even the 6th prince of the Rain Palace had to smile at Ning Fan. This was the aura of Marquis White Robe. Now that King Jin was dead, Great Jin was destined to be doomed. Tianji Laoren even knelt on the ground. His old face was filled with fear. He had plotted against Ning Fan in the past. He still did not know what kind of consequences he would face. On the seats of Wu Country, the 3 gold core realm old ancestors of the Ning family of Hai Ning looked at Ning Fan in disbelief. Many years ago, the 3 ancestors of the Ning family had the same dream at the same time. In the dream, a mortal young man named Ning Fan had crushed the earth vein of Hai Ning with a single step. After having the strange dream that year, the 3 ancestors of the Ning family had investigated everywhere, but they could not find any information about the young man in the dream. Gradually, they forgot about the strange dream. Today, the three ancestors of the Ning family finally knew that the young man in the dream that year was actually Marquis White Robe, who was famous in the Rain world. Impossible. Even though my Ning family isn't a benevolent family, we have never done any evil deeds. Why would we provoke such a terrifying person? Young Master Tian, Ning Tian, was the person with the highest innate potential in the Ning family. After being nurtured meticulously by the Ning family, he had already become a mid-harmonious spirit realm cultivator after just over 40 years. Looking at Ning Fan's unreachable back, he felt a bone-chilling coldness. He recognized Ning Fan. He recognized that this person was a mortal whom he had bullied in the past. He was the one who sold Ning Fan to the all-pleasure sect. The mortal young man whom I bullied in the past has actually become a void refinement realm old monster. I'm dead meat. I'm dead meat. Miss Qing, Ning Qingqing, sighed continuously. She was also a talented descendant of the Ning family. Now, she was already a late harmonious spirit realm female cultivator. She owed Ning Fan a favor of saving her life. In the past, when she was bathing in the pond of Ning Bai Mountain, she was almost defiled by a group of villains. If it wasn't for Ning Fan who shouted and reminded her, she would certainly not be able to escape from the calamity. She was saved, but Ning Fan offended the villains because of that and got himself in trouble. In the past, she did not know that Ning Fan was her benefactor. She also did not know that Ning Tian had sold him to Wu country. When she accidentally saved Ning Fan from Ning Tian, she did not even know that the mortal young man was her benefactor. When she found out the truth, she could no longer find Ning Fan and could not repay his kindness in the past. When she finally found Ning Fan, he had already gotten rid of his mortal body. Moreover, he stood proudly at the peak of the Rain world in a way that she could never imagine. He was so strong that she could only look up to him. Ning Fan. I no longer have the chance to repay your kindness in this life, am I right? She smiled bitterly. Now that Ning Fan had become Marquis White Robe, why would he need a harmonious spirit realm junior to repay his kindness? Back then, she was the heaven and he was the earth. Now, she was the earth and he was the heaven. Ning Fan landed on the jade platform that was floating in the air. His eyes scanned across the surroundings. His gaze swept past Tianji Laoren and the Ning clan of Hai Ning. All of a sudden, he felt a little dispirited. Old man Tianji and Ning Tian had a grudge against him, so they had to die. However, the Ning family of Haining and the cultivators of the Wu kingdom were not guilty. The enmity of the past had already faded, and he did not want to kill more people in Wu country. Now, looking back on the mortal world, he had once left his footprints in the mountains and rivers of Wu country. The Ning family of Haining had adopted him as an orphan and raised him up. He was not in a hurry to look at the storage bag Yunyomu had given him. Instead, he slowly walked over to the Elder of Heavenly Secrets and coldly said, "Kill yourself." No, no. I know I was wrong. I was muddle-headed back then, that's why I sold Senior's information to Tiandao sect. I know I was wrong. Senior, please give me a chance and spare my life. I don't want to die. I don't want to die. If you don't want to kill yourself, then I will send you off. Ning Fan's expression was cold. He pointed a finger at Old Man Tianji's forehead. Old Man Tianji's body shuddered and his expression froze forever. His nascent soul was crushed and his corpse fell limply to the ground. I'm not a kind person. I will definitely take revenge if I have a grudge and return kindness if I have one. That's all. You made a huge mistake in the past and caused the death of countless cultivators of Yu country. You even nearly killed Jihe. Now that I'm going to kill you, this grudge can go back to ashes and dust to dust. Ning Fan did not even look at Old Man Tianji's corpse. His coldness made countless cultivators tremble. He slowly walked towards the seats of Wu country and the Ning family of Haining. Every step he took made the cultivators of Wu country extremely nervous. The third ancestor of the Ning family was even more terrified. Is Marquis White Robe trying to destroy my Ning family? Are we going to die? The third ancestor did not even have the courage to run away. Ning Fan. Spare me. I was muddle-headed in the past and that's why I harmed you. I was muddle-headed in the past. Ning Tian suddenly rushed out of the seats of the Ning family and knelt down in front of Ning Fan. He kept kowtowing and begging for mercy. Countless cultivators of the Ning family were stunned. It turned out that Ning Tian was the one who provoked Ning Fan. It turned out that Ning Tian was the one who caused a huge disaster for the Ning family. Ning Fan's expression was still cold. He slowly uttered a few words. Ning Tian, you made a huge mistake to me and Ning Gu in the past. You must pay with your life. It's impossible for me to spare you. Since you won't spare me, I will fight you to the death. Ning Tian's eyes suddenly flashed with madness. He shot out a mid-grade flying sword from his long sleeve and pierced it at Ning Fan's dantian. Ning Fan did not even look at that mid-grade flying sword. When it was 3 inches away from Ning Fan's body, it was directly burned into ashes by Ning Fan's vast magic power. Even if the current Ning Fan stands still, Ning Tian would definitely not be able to hurt him. This was the difference between their cultivation bases. Impossible. I don't believe it. 40 years ago, you were just a mortal. How could you become so strong? I don't believe it. I, Ning Tian, am the favored child of heaven. Who do you think you are? Why does heaven favor you so much? Ah! Ning Fan did not give Ning Tian the chance to continue shouting. With a point of his index finger, Ning Tian turned into ashes and disappeared. With that, the grudges of Wu country were settled. Ashes to ashes, dust to dust, are you the 3 ancestors of the Ning family? Ning Fan's tone was extremely indifferent as he looked at Hai Ning's seat. Yes. We are the 3 ancestors of the Ning family. The 3 ancestors of the Ning family were horrified. They immediately cupped their fists and bowed to Ning Fan while trembling. They did not know how Ning Fan would deal with the Ning family after killing Ning Tian. Is Ning Dainyu dead? Ning Fan suddenly asked an irrelevant question. Who is Ning Dainyu? I don't know him. The 3 ancestors of the Ning family trembled even harder. They did not know if they would anger Ning Fan if they did not give Ning Fan a satisfactory answer. He's dead. Your adoptive father is already dead. He died at the end of his lifespan. Suddenly, a lady in green robes walked out from the seats of the Ning family. It was Ning Qingqing. Is he also dead? Ning Fan closed his eyes and felt a little disappointed. Ning Dainyu was immortal. He was one of the slaves adopted by the Ning family of Hai Ning. He was the adoptive father of Ning Fan and Ning Gu. Ning Dainyu did not treat Ning Fan well and treated him harshly. However, he did raise Ning Fan. Ning Fan more or less felt a little disappointed now that he was dead. He looked at the lady in green robes in front of him and felt a little surprised. Ning Dainyu was just a lowly mortal servant in the Ning family of Hai Ning. The cultivators of the Ning family should not pay attention to a mortal. Even though he had asked the 3 ancestors of the Ning family about this, he had never expected any answer. He did not expect that this lady in green robes could actually answer his question. So it's you. Miss Qing. Ning Fan flipped through his memories and gradually remembered who this lady in green robes was. That year, he was just a mortal young man who went to the Ning by peak to gather herbs. That year, he saw a young lady in green robes in trouble. He called out to help her and led a group of villains away. That year, he offended young Master Tian of the Ning family and got himself killed. When he was in danger, it was that young lady in green robes who saved him. The grudges of the past replayed in his mind. He suddenly felt a little tired. Why you want to destroy the Ning family? Ning Fan. Ning Qingqing bit her lips and asked. The one who betrayed me is Ning Tian alone. It has nothing to do with the Ning family. Besides, I have promised a friend in the demon sinister forest that I will help her take care of the Ning family. I won't destroy Hai Ning. You can rest assured about this. Ning Fan turned around and left Hai Ning's seat, returning to the floating jade platform. His eyes were indifferent. Hundreds of thousands of cultivators lowered their heads, not daring to look him in the eye. The king of Jin is already dead. Great Jin will no longer merge with other countries. The one who will be merging will be my Yu country. I hereby announce that from today onwards, the territories of the 11 countries present here will all be merged into my Yu country. My cultivation base is at the Void Refinement Realm. With my presence, Yu country can be upgraded to a Void-grade cultivation country at any time. As long as those who pledge allegiance to Yu country don't have the intention to betray me, I won't let them down. If they have other thoughts, don't blame me for being merciless. Ning Fan did not have the intention to negotiate with the 11 countries. His words were orders. He believed that none of the cultivation countries would dare to disobey his orders. After annexing all the countries, the territory of Yu country would expand by 100 times. Ning Fan was determined to expand his force within Yu country. He wanted to build a great force that could protect Yu country and resist the Rain Palace. The reason why he wanted to build this force was not to conquer the world but to protect the beautiful figures of those women. Only then could he step into the sea of blood of cultivation alone without any worries. He would never give anyone the chance to gather the forces of over 100 sects to coerce his friends and family. If I have time in the future, I will go back to the Ning family in Hai Ning to have a look. I also miss the mountains and rivers there. Ning Fan said indifferently to Hai Ning's seat. Then, he turned around and returned to the seats of the cultivators of Yu country. Let's go home. He smiled gently at Ji He and the other women. 10 days later, a piece of shocking news spread across the southeastern continent of the Rain world. Yu country had annexed 11 cultivation countries including Great Jin and officially upgraded to a Void-grade cultivation country, becoming the 19th Void-grade cultivation country in the Rain world. The person who was in charge of Yu country, was the Lord of 7 Apricot City, Marquis White Robe, Ning Fan. The situation in the southeastern continent of the Rain world instantly changed because of the strong rise of Yu country. Chapter 529. Yu country had annexed 11 cultivation countries, including the Great Jin country, and was officially promoted to a Void-level cultivation country, becoming the 19th Void-level cultivation country in the Rain Immortal world. 7 Apricot City also rapidly rose overnight and became one of the peak powers of the Rain Immortal world. On a certain wasteland in the state of Yu, a huge island suddenly fell. On the island, there was only one sect of female cultivators. It was called the Bai Yao sect, and it had submitted to 7 Apricot City. 7 Apricot City had many more experts, and each and every one of them were beautiful women. Su Yan, Yu Lingkong, Ming Ke, Su Qiuling. Those women who were brought back by Ning Fan were staying in 7 Apricot City. The name of Yu State 7 Apricot City suddenly spread like wildfire. Not only was Marquis White Robe guarding the place, but there were also several Void Refinement Realm female cultivators guarding the place. Brother Fan. Where did you catch so many women from? They are so powerful and beautiful, and there are so many of them. Not only are there legendary Divine Transformation Realm cultivators, there are even legendary Void Refinement Realm cultivators. Jihe was a little jealous. Her insignificant cultivation level could be seen in Yu State, but in front of a true expert, it was completely insignificant. Isn't it good to have more people? From today onwards, I am the 7 Apricot City Lord, you are the Vice City Lord, and they are 7 Apricot City's guest officials and elders. With them here, 7 Apricot City will not be in too much danger. This place is our home, we must protect it well. Ning Fan patted Jihe's small head and laughed while shaking his head. It's good to have a lot of people. He pouted. No woman would like her husband to bring a bunch of women home. However, when he thought about it again, he realized that there was actually a servant girl among the women Ning Fan brought back. Her name was Mu Xiaohuan. At first, Jihe was a little unhappy, but when she saw Mu Xiaohuan, she was happy from the bottom of her heart. Mu Xiaohuan and Jihe got along well. Ning Fan actually found such a good companion for Jihe. This really made Jihe extremely happy. She liked Mu Xiaohuan very much, just like how she liked Si Wuxia in the past. There was no need for any reason. She treated the little foodie Mu Xiaohuan as her own sister and was inseparable from her all day long. Seeing that you've brought back a little sister for me, I'll let you off this time. Don't do it again. Jihe snorted softly. She turned her back to him, but she pursed her lips and snickered. She wasn't really angry. Silly girl, hurry and sleep. Ning Fan apologetically smiled and coaxed Jihe to sleep. He walked out of the courtyard and stood in the snowy night with the moon and stars. He came back with a tyrannical cultivation. He leveled up the Yu country and made 7 Apricot City develop and expand. But all of this was still not enough. It's not enough. The current power of 7 Apricot City is still not big enough. 7 Apricot City must have a void fragmentation realm expert. If we can bring out the little sable Meiji from the demon sinister forest, we can make 7 Apricot City have the first void fragmentation expert. If we can bring the old tree spirit Ming Luo out of the dark sparrow's grave, 7 Apricot City will have its second void fragmentation expert. If that's the case, I have to return to the demon sinister forest and the dark sparrow's grave to see if I can bring the 2 void fragmentation experts out. If I succeed, not only can these 2 people help me protect 7 Apricot City, they can even become a great help in the battle against Moksha Sovereign in the future. Moreover, one of Weiyang's 3 souls, Ning Honghong and Bone Emperor, are still in the forest. Ning Fan's eyes turned cold. He did not forget about the void fragmentation realm White Bone Sovereign. The old tree spirit Ming Luo was the king of the dark sparrow's grave. There would not be any danger. Bone Emperor was in the demon sinister forest, but he did not know if the little sable, Ning Honghong and Mu Xiaoyang were safe or not. Now that Ning Fan had found Mu Weiyang's corpse, the remnant soul in the demon sinister forest could only be wronged and changed her name to Mu Xiaoyang. Su Yan and Yu Lingkong will handle the matter of the merger of Yu country. I don't have to worry about it. Tomorrow morning, I will return to the Sinister Sparrow sect and go to the Demon Sinister Forest. Ning Fan said to Luo Yu in his mind. Don't worry. With Elder Sister's help, a mere Bone Emperor is nothing to worry about. Luo Yu chuckled and suddenly asked. Oh yeah, what is Yunyomu's purpose in giving you these things? I don't know. Ning Fan frowned and took out the storage pouch that Yunyomu gave him. There was nothing else inside except for 2 yellowed old jade slips. Each of them recorded an incomplete magic technique. Death technique, immemorial fishing line technique. Life technique, fishing net technique of fortune. By using both the life and death techniques at the same time, I can cultivate a trace of life and death chi. Ning Fan kept the jade slips and stood in the wind and snow. Shadows of his fingers danced in the air. While changing his hand seals, he would sometimes pull out pitch-black fishing lines and sometimes white lines, condensing them into a huge net. The surrounding plum trees would sometimes wither and sometimes bloom with winter plum blossoms again. The scene was rather strange. As he was performing the 2 techniques alternately, traces of life and death chi were condensing in his dantian. The formation of the life and death chi was extremely slow. However, as each trace of life and death chi was formed, Ning Fan faintly realized that his aura had undergone some sublimation and transformation. He seemed to feel more ethereal and less murderous. If he continues to cultivate the life and death techniques, he would probably completely become a senior expert with the demeanor of an immortal when he reaches the end of his cultivation. Life and death chi, huh? Ning Fan pondered. Hee. I didn't expect Yunyomu to give you such a secret technique that can actually allow you to cultivate the life and death chi. The life and death chi is a good thing. With your innate potential, if you cultivate these two techniques for 100,000 years and cultivate enough life and death chi, your chances of becoming an immortal will increase by at least 30%. The magic techniques that Yunyomu gave you are really not bad. Luo Yu giggled. 100,000 years of cultivation can only increase my chances of becoming an immortal by 30%. Where would I have 100,000 years to cultivate these two magic techniques? Ning Fan shook his head with a bitter smile. He had no idea why Yunyomu would give him these two magic techniques. Helping him become an immortal? Impossible. Is there some ulterior motive? Maybe, or could it be that Yunyomu was just bored and gave him some random things to tease him? Giving him the hope of becoming an immortal and then telling him that he would actually need 100,000 years of cultivation to increase his chances of becoming an immortal by 30%. Would Yunyomu be that bored? Ning Fan stood still for a whole night but he still could not figure out Yunyomu's intentions. When the sun rose, he informed Ji He and the other women of his whereabouts. Then, he left 7 Apricot City and descended into the Sinister Sparrow sect, heading towards the Demon Sinister Forest. Ignoring the formation outside the Demon Sinister Forest, Ning Fan's body was surrounded by golden-purple mist and he directly stepped into the Sinister Forest. The scenery was the same as it was in the past but the people there were no longer the same. Ning Fan still remembered the old saying that the more evil a mountain was, the more immortal secrets it would hide. As he walked deeper into the forest from the first region, his mind was filled with the memories of the past. In the past, when he entered the Demon Sinister Forest, he was just a harmonious spirit realm cultivator. Now that he entered the forest again, his cultivation base was no longer the same as before. In the past, he stopped at the 3rd region but now, he could even explore the 7th region. Be it the vein-opening realm ghosts or the harmonious spirit realm ghosts, all of them shivered in fear when they sensed Ning Fan's ferocious chi from afar. Ning Fan directly passed through the first 2 regions and entered the 3rd region without encountering any obstacles. In the 3rd region, he was just about to spread his spirit sense to see if Mu Xiaoyang and Ning Honghong were still in the Red Clan of the 3rd region. At this moment, the faint sounds of fighting and fleeing could be heard from afar. The ground was shaking violently. A giant white skeleton laughed coldly. He flattened the forests and chased after dozens of Gold Core Realm ghosts. How dare a mere Gold Core Realm ghost clan follow Princess Mei and rebel against me? You are really courting death. Today, I will kill all of you. Let's see who can save you. This giant white skeleton was one of Bone Sovereign's white skeletal clones. It had a cultivation base of peak Gold Core Realm. Help us. The dozens of Gold Core Realm ghosts were running away while crying for help. Each time the giant white skeleton raised his palm, he would kill a Gold Core Realm ghost in midair. While laughing, he swallowed the ghosts into his stomach one after another. While the giant was laughing loudly and the ghosts were running for their lives, a white-robed young man suddenly appeared in front of them. The giant was startled. He did not see how the young man appeared. He only felt that the young man looked very familiar but he could not recall who he was. As soon as the ghosts saw the young man and sensed his extraordinary aura, they immediately called for help in a desperate situation. Friend, please save us. We are ghost cultivators from the Red Clan. We are being chased by Bone Sovereign's clones. Red Clan. Isn't that Ning Honghong's and Mu Xiaoyang's ghost clans? Ning Fan pondered for a moment. Then, he took a step forward and stood in front of the giant white skeleton, protecting the ghosts behind him. Bone Sovereign, it's been many years. You are still alive. Ning Fan said indifferently. It's you. The giant white skeleton retracted his cold smile and his hair stood up in anger. The giant white skeleton remembered. The white-robed young man in front of him was his enemy. He was the sinner who destroyed his true soul clone and caused his cultivation base to fall. That year, he turned into Wang Yao and snuck out of the demon-sinister forest. That year, Ning Fan killed Wang Yao and severely injured Bone Sovereign's true body. Ning Fan. That year, you killed my true soul clone and caused my cultivation base to fall. Until now, I have yet to return to my previous level. Today, I will definitely kill you to vent my anger. The giant white skeleton raised his hand and threw a punch at Ning Fan. It was filled with towering anger. The power of his punch was almost comparable to the attack of an ordinary nascent soul realm cultivator. The ground within 1,000 li immediately trembled violently. Ning Fan also raised his hand and threw a punch. His punch was not as powerful as the giant's punch. It was just a casual punch. However, with just a single punch, the bamboo forest within tens of thousands of li was directly razed to the ground. Countless mountains and rivers were flattened. The entire third region was plunged into a violent earthquake. The giant white skeleton stared at Ning Fan's extremely terrifying fist light in disbelief. He was so shocked that he could not understand what was going on. Then, he was directly turned into ashes. Even until his death, his clone could not understand why a harmonious spirit realm young man 40 years ago could possess such terrifying abilities 40 years later. My cultivation base is no longer the harmonious spirit realm I was in the past. You can no longer chase after me with just a clone. Ning Fan withdrew his fist and stood still. His eyes were indifferent. Behind him, all the ghosts of the Red Clan were dumbfounded. Since when did such a powerful expert appear in the third region? He could flatten mountains and rivers within tens of thousands of li and kill Bone Sovereign's gold core realm clone with a single punch. Could it be that this white-robed young man is actually a nascent soul realm ghost king? However, even a nascent soul realm ghost king does not seem to have such terrifying abilities like Ning Fan. What exactly is Ning Fan's cultivation base? I'm looking for Ning Honghong and Mu Weiliang. Are they still in the Red Clan? Ning Fan asked in an irrefutable manner. All of the ghosts were afraid of Ning Fan's might. Thus, they immediately told him everything they knew without holding anything back. After listening to their answers, Ning Fan's eyes gradually revealed a solemn expression. Honghong disappeared. Why did she disappear? Does her disappearance have anything to do with Hong Yi? Mei Ji brought Mu Xiaoyang to the 6th region. Now, she is in the Yellow Spring Demon City in the 6th region. Is she safe and sound? Ning Fan muttered to himself. His eyes were filled with a hint of worry. He then asked about the situation in the 6th region. I heard that Bone Sovereign has sent an army of white skeletons to besiege the Yellow Spring City where Mei Ji is currently in the 6th region. 3 months ago, Mei Ji was severely injured in a battle with Bone Sovereign. Until now, she has yet to recover from her injuries. No one knows whether she is still alive or not. Without her guarding the city, the Yellow Spring City is in a precarious situation. It could be breached at any time. One of the Gold Core Realm ghosts answered. Mei Ji is injured. Then, is Mu Xiaoyang alright? Ning Fan's eyes turned serious. Without any hesitation, he patted his storage pouch and took out the ancient golden sword. Then, he stepped on the ancient sword. After tossing out countless immortal jades, he pushed the escaping light of the ancient sword to its limit and flew away at full speed. Since Mei Ji was severely injured and the Yellow Spring City was besieged, Mu Xiaoyang would naturally be in danger. She was one of Weiliang's 3 souls. Ning Fan would never let her get hurt no matter what. Standing on the tip of the sword, Ning Fan stepped on the pure golden sword light. His baleful chi was terrifying and he directly dashed into the 4th region at a terrifying speed that was comparable to a void fragmentation realm expert. All of a sudden, all the nascent soul realm ghost kings in the 4th region trembled in fear. All of them could feel an irresistible baleful chi from Ning Fan's body. None of them dared to stop Ning Fan's sword light. Who is this man? He actually has such a terrifying baleful chi. Even Bone Sovereign might not have such a terrifying baleful chi. Oh my god. He actually entered the 5th region. Isn't he afraid of death? There are divine transformation realm ghosts in the 5th region. I heard that all the divine transformation realm ghosts in the 5th region have become Bone Sovereign subordinates. They will attack anyone who enters the region. If this man enters the 5th region rashly, I'm afraid he will die right away. Just as Ning Fan's sword light broke into the 5th region, thousands of divine transformation realm ghosts roared and flew into the sky. They locked their killing intent on Ning Fan and released magic attacks one after another. According to Bone Sovereign's order, all those who trespass the 5th region will die. Bone Sovereign's order, huh? Ning Fan kept his golden sword light and closed his eyes. When he opened them again, his eyes were flashing with pure black sword sense and sword light. His sea of consciousness moved and a vast sword sense swept across 200,000 li, shattering the attacks of all the divine transformation realm ghosts. All the divine transformation realm ghosts were enveloped by the sword sense. Not only did it contain the immortal trapping sword intent, but it also contained a trace of immortal slaughtering sword chi. Now that the power of the sword sense was fully unleashed, even a mid-divine transformation realm ghost would not be able to escape death. Each of the divine transformation realm ghosts screamed in agony. They were minced into minced meat by the sword sense. Blood immediately flowed like a river within 200,000 li. Those divine transformation realm ghosts who did not die under the sword sense panicked and fled in all directions. They were extremely afraid of Ning Fan and none of them dared to fight him at all. Ning Fan raised the blood umbrella mercilessly. Stepping on the golden sword light, he kept each of the fleeing ghosts into the blood umbrella. After the time it takes for an incense stick to burn, all the ghosts either turned into minced meat or turned into pus and blood in the blood umbrella. Only the sense beads were left behind. Divine transformation realm sense beads. Even Ning Fan, who was at the void refinement realm, could slightly improve his spirit sense. Ning Fan had obtained a total of 4,120 divine transformation realm sense beads. All the ghosts were dead. The 5th region was as quiet as the dead. Next, I'll head to the 6th region. Ning Fan stepped on the ancient golden sword and vanished in an instant. In the 6th region, outside a demon city named Yellow Spring City, dark clouds loomed over the city. It was surrounded by ghost soldiers wearing bone armors. Their killing intent was overwhelming. The sky above the demon city was guarded by a high-grade mortal void realm formation light. If it wasn't because the formation light was still intact, the Yellow Spring City would have long been flattened. In the Yellow Spring City, more than half of Meiji's subordinates had died. There were less than 3,000 ghost cultivators who were at the nascent soul realm and above, while there were only tens of thousands of gold core realm ghost cultivators left. Most of them were already injured. The one guarding the city was a void glimpse stage old man. He was the commander of Meiji's subordinates. His name was Yuhai. Originally, there were 2 other void inquiry stage old men guarding the city. However, both of them were severely injured and unconscious. There was no way for them to continue fighting. Mei Chen, come out obediently and accept your death. If you do that, I can still keep your corpse in one piece. 2 void inquiry stage ice giants led 1,000,000 gold core realm ghosts and challenged them outside the formation light. In front of the 2 void inquiry stage giants were 4 void glimpse stage white bone puppets. Each of them had strong chi, but their eyes were empty. They kept casting magic techniques to attack the formation light. Under the attacks of the 4 white bone puppets, the Yellow Spring City was already in a precarious situation. The formation light was covered with cracks and it could shatter at any time. This is troublesome. There aren't many immortal jade left in the city. I'm afraid this formation light won't last much longer. Until now, Lord Meiji has yet to stabilize her injuries. Her magic power is still in a scattered state and she can't fight the enemies. If the formation light shatters now, the Yellow Spring City will certainly be destroyed. Lord Meiji will also die in the hands of the enemies. Commander Mu, what do you think we should do? Should we lead Lord Meiji out of the encirclement and give up on the Yellow Spring City before the city is breached? The Void Glimpse stage old man called Yu Hai asked a white-robed female ghost beside him. The white-robed female ghost had delicate features. Even though she was just at the Gold Core realm, she was someone that Meiji thought highly of. She treated her like a sister. Even Commander Yu Hai did not dare to neglect her. We can't. Elder Sister Mei Chen's injuries won't allow her to withstand any turbulence. If we run away, her injuries will certainly worsen. If we continue to defend the Yellow Spring City, we might still have a chance to suppress her injuries and recover her magic power. If we don't have enough immortal jade, we will use the 100,000 sense beads in the treasure vault to fill up the formation eye. Even though Elder Sister Mei Chen and I have collected those sense beads for him, he hasn't returned for so many years. Perhaps he won't return for the rest of his life. He probably won't be able to use these sense beads anymore. Let's continue to defend the city with these sense beads. Sigh. That's the only way. Commander Yu Hai sighed. He had witnessed how the 100,000 sense beads were found with his own eyes. Each of the sense beads was at least at the nascent soul realm. There were also divine transformation realm sense beads and void refinement realm sense beads. If a human cultivator were to consume these sense beads, his spirit sense would be raised to an extremely terrifying realm. For more than 40 years, Mei Chen and Mu Xiaoyang had killed countless ghosts and searched through the first 6 regions of the Demon Sinister Forest to collect these 100,000 sense beads. Now, in order to defend the city, they would probably have to use up these 100,000 sense beads. Mei Chen and Mu Xiaoyang's 40 years of hard work would probably go down the drain. Pass down my order. Quickly take out the 100,000 sense beads from the treasure vault to fill up the formation eye. No mistakes. Wait, what's that? Just as Commander Yu Hai gave the order, his expression suddenly changed. Outside the Yellow Spring Demon City, a white-robed young man had appeared out of nowhere. He was standing proudly outside the formation light while stepping on a dazzling golden ancient sword, completely ignoring the ferocious might of the millions of ghost soldiers outside the city. Even through the layers of formation light, Commander Yu Hai could still feel an irresistible baleful chi and devil might from the young man. His eyes were filled with shock. Who is this? Could he be the reinforcements of Bone Sovereign? If that's the case, my Yellow Springs Demon City will be in danger today. Ning Fan stepped on the ancient sword. His ears were filled with the roars of the 1,000,000 ghost soldiers. However, his heart calmed down a little when he saw that Mu Xiaoyang was safe and sound. Little Black doesn't seem to be here. Has his injury not healed yet? You don't look well. Haven't you had a good rest recently? Do you need my help to exterminate these 1,000,000 ghostly soldiers? With his back facing Mu Xiaoyang, Ning Fan asked with concern. The Blackie he mentioned was naturally the netherworld mink Meiji. Under the heavens, only Ning Fan dared to call Princess Mei as Little Black. His tone was so calm, as if annihilating the 1,000,000 ghost soldiers was something that could be done in the blink of an eye. Mu Xiaoyang blushed. She was still as shy as before. Just by looking at Ning Fan's back, she felt as if her heart was about to leap out of her throat. Her cheeks were burning hot and she found it hard to breathe. He actually came back. Mu Xiaoyang had a lot to say, but she didn't know where to start. Suddenly, tears welled up in her eyes. You're ignoring me. Fine, I'll kill these ghosts first, then I'll talk to you. What's your name? Ning Fan turned his head indifferently and looked at Commander Yu Hai. I'm Yu Hai. I'm Lord Meiji's subordinate. You are. Commander Yu Hai could see the close relationship between Ning Fan and Mu Xiaoyang. He guessed that Ning Fan was a friend and not an enemy. He could not help but heave a sigh of relief. You don't have to fill the formation eye with sense beads anymore. Sense beads are good stuff. Don't waste them. Take these immortal jades. Ning Fan casually tossed a storage pouch that was filled with immortal jades. Yu Hai scanned the storage pouch with his spirit sense and immediately turned pale with fright. There were actually billions of immortal jades inside. Who are you exactly? Why did you help my Yellow Spring Demon City? Yu Hai asked with gratitude. The only reply he got was a ray of pure golden sword light that dashed towards the 1,000,000 devil soldiers outside the city. Looking at the white-robed young man who suddenly appeared and gave them the immortal jades, the two ice giants were enraged. Who are you? How dare you go against us and help the Yellow Spring Demon City? Aren't you afraid of Lord Bone Sovereign's punishment? The reply to the two giants was still the sound of a sword piercing through the air. Ning Fan stepped on the tip of the sword. He held a ball of black flames in his palm and hurled it into the sky. All of a sudden, the black flames turned into hundreds of gigantic fire vortexes. Each of the vortexes had a gigantic black fire dragon flying out from it. This was the dragon vortex fire technique recorded in the Black Demon art. It was a divine ability that Ning Fan often used when he was at the harmonious spirit realm. With his current cultivation base, even a void inquiry stage expert would find it hard to withstand the destructive power of this technique. Hundreds of gigantic black fire dragons descended from the sky and rushed into the 1,000,000 ghost soldiers. Tens of thousands of ghost soldiers were burned to ashes by the fire dragons. The expressions of the two ice giants changed when they saw the terrifying black flames. This person isn't easy to deal with. Where are the white bone puppets? Kill him. The four white bone puppets rushed towards Ning Fan with cold expressions. For Void Glimpse stage spiritual puppets, I can give them to Jiha to protect myself. Life imprisoning finger. Ning Fan pointed his finger at the four white bone puppets. Black crescent moon marks suddenly appeared on the left side of the four white bone puppets. Ning Fan flicked his sleeve again and activated his memory power. All of the four spiritual puppets had their spiritual intelligence wiped out and turned into four white bone puppets. Ning Fan then kept them into his storage pouch. All of a sudden, the entire Yellow Spring Demon City was in an uproar. Ning Fan was just too strong. He took away four Void Glimpse stage spiritual puppets just by raising his hand. Those were Void Glimpse stage spiritual puppets. Hundreds of black dragons swept across the land. Countless ghost soldiers fell one after another. The two ice giants' faces turned pale with fright. Who exactly are you? Do you really want to become Lord Bone Sovereign's enemy? So what if I become his enemy? Ning Fan stepped on the tip of the sword and his body turned into a ray of golden light, dashing towards the two ice giants. He raised both of his fists and punched them. His essence chi swept across the surroundings. Pieces of space shattered like glass. The two ice giants could not withstand the force of Ning Fan's punch at all. Both of them turned into countless ice shards and died instantly. Instant kill. Commander Yu Hai was so shocked that he could not close his mouth. Those two ice giants were at the Void Inquiry stage. They were the Ghost Ice Twin Demons who were under Bone Sovereign's command. Previously, they had defeated two Void Inquiry stage experts of the Yellow Spring Demon City consecutively. How could they be killed by Ning Fan so easily? Ning Fan kept his ancient sword and walked through the millions of ghost soldiers with the blood umbrella. Every time he opened the blood umbrella, countless ghost soldiers would be sucked away, turning into pus and blood and dying. Those who resisted, those who fled, those who begged for mercy. All of the ghost soldiers had the same ending in the end, death. After the time it takes for an incense stick to burn, Ning Fan stepped on the millions of corpses and collected the sense beads that littered the ground. Then, he slowly walked towards the Yellow Spring Demon City. If one were to use a word to describe this battle, it would be, sweeping away everything. No one could stop Ning Fan's footsteps. The formation light of the Yellow Spring Demon City faded away. However, there was no longer a need for the formation light to defend itself because the battle had already ended. Who exactly is this person? He is just one person, but he actually killed millions of ghost soldiers of Bone Sovereign. Commander Mu, do you know this expert? Who exactly is he? Each of the ghost cultivators who were guarding the city looked at Mu Xiaoyang, waiting for her answer. He's a stinky man. All of a sudden, a mature and beautiful lady with a pale complexion appeared beside Mu Xiaoyang and answered for her. She was Mei Ji, who had yet to recover from her severe injuries. Her eyes were filled with astonishment. It had only been 40 years and the young man who was only at the harmonious spirit realm in the past had actually cultivated to such a level. My little black really doesn't learn to be obedient. Why did he come out and run around when his injuries haven't even recovered? Do you really need to punish him to make him obedient? Ning Fan turned into a ray of light and ascended the city wall and teased Mei Ji. Who's your little black? Mei Ji wished she could strangle Ning Fan to death. However, her limbs were weak and she could only stare at Ning Fan with resentment. You still know to come back. If you came back a little later, you could have helped me collect my corpse. Her tone was rather resentful. Ning Fan looked at Mei Ji with a playful expression. Could it be that she missed him a lot? When he used his spirit sense to check her condition, he realized that she was severely injured. His face darkened. How did you get so badly injured? Chapter 530. Mei Chen's injuries were very serious. It was so serious that her cultivation base had fallen. The sky above the Yellow Spring Demon City was filled with a thin ghost mist. The air was heavy and the faint smell of blood came from the battlefield outside the city. Mei Chen was wearing a luxurious black mink coat. Her appearance was as beautiful as before. However, her face was unusually pale due to her serious injuries. Ning Fan sighed. Ignoring Mei Chen's resistance, he grabbed her wrist and held it in his palm. Then, he inserted his medicine soul into her wrist to carefully examine her injuries. Stinky man. It has been more than 40 years but you are still so shameless. How dare you disrespect me in front of so many people? Mei Chen cursed but she did not break free from Ning Fan's grip. All the cultivators in the city were dumbfounded. In their memories, Mei Chen hated men the most. She would never allow any man to touch her body. Today, however, she actually allowed Ning Fan to hold her wrist. It was simply unbelievable. Mu Xiaoyang's cheeks turned red. She was still very thin-skinned. She would blush whenever she sees a man and a woman holding hands. After a long time, Ning Fan withdrew his medicine soul. However, he did not let go of Mei Chen's wrist. His eyes carried a hint of reproach and he asked with concern. Tell me. Why did you suffer such serious injuries? If I'm not wrong, you have already recovered your third heavenly layer void fragmentation realm cultivation base during the 40 years that I was away. However, because of the serious injuries you suffered this time, your cultivation base has fallen to the first heavenly layer of the void fragmentation realm. In fact, you are only a hair's breadth away from the void fragmentation realm. Your injuries are very serious. Even I can't help you heal them. TSK. The reason why I got injured has nothing to do with you. I don't need you to heal me at all. Mei Chen's expression changed slightly. She casually retorted and withdrew her hand without leaving a trace. The reason why elder sister Mei Chen got injured is because Mu Xiaoyang wanted to tell Ning Fan the reason but she was glared at by Mei Chen. Don't tell this stinky man. Otherwise, our sisterly relationship will end here. Then I won't tell you. Mu Xiaoyang was afraid that Mei Chen would end their relationship. She immediately covered her mouth and did not dare to say anything else. Ning Fan was not a person who liked to get to the bottom of things. However, since he wanted to treat Mei Chen's injuries, he naturally needed to understand the cause of her injuries. Looking at the silly Mu Xiaoyang, Ning Fan revealed a harmless smile. Little Black just didn't allow you to listen to me, but he didn't say that you can't watch it. If you imprint the cause of Little Black's injury on the jade slip, I'll see it with my eyes, so it won't count as listening. Yeah, why didn't I think of that? Mu Xiaoyang lightly slapped her forehead and stuck out her tongue, and then she withdrew a jade slip and recorded the sequence of events within it. She was still as silly as she was in the past. Ning Fan received the jade slip and scanned it with his spirit sense. He already knew the reason why Mei Chen was injured. Mei Chen wanted to stop him, but it was too late. She snorted softly, turned around, and fled into the city. Ning Fan kept the jade slip and looked at Mei Chen's back as she left. His eyes flashed with a hint of complicated emotions. Of course, Mei Chen's injuries were caused by Bone Sovereign. However, the reason why she suffered such severe injuries was because of Ning Fan. In the past, Ning Fan had destroyed Bone Sovereign's true soul, causing his cultivation base to fall to the third heavenly layer of the void fragmentation realm. Ever since Mei Chen undid the seal in her body, her cultivation base had also recovered to the third heavenly layer of the void fragmentation realm. Mei Chen stayed in the 6th region while Bone Sovereign occupied the 7th region. Neither of them could do anything to the other. Thus, they lived in harmony. Unexpectedly, Bone Sovereign hated Ning Fan to the core. After spending many years of effort, he condensed another true soul, attempting to sneak out of the demon sinister forest and head to the rain world to take revenge on Ning Fan. When Mei Chen learned about this, she sneaked into the 7th region alone and fought against Bone Sovereign without caring about anything else. She forcefully destroyed his true soul. The reason why she did that was because she did not want Bone Sovereign to hurt Ning Fan. Bone Sovereign's true soul was destroyed for the 2nd time. His cultivation base fell sharply again to the 1st heavenly layer of the void fragmentation realm, which made him furious. Mei Chen, on the other hand, suffered even more serious injuries. Her cultivation base fell even further, almost falling to the void fragmentation realm. In this battle, both Mei Chen and Bone Sovereign suffered heavy injuries. While Mei Chen was recuperating, Bone Sovereign sent out an army of ghost soldiers, intending to kill her in the Yellow Spring Demon City to vent his hatred. Little Black was actually injured because of me. Ning Fan's heart could not help but be touched. His determination to heal Mei Chen's injuries became even more determined. And Ning Fan, can you heal elder sister Mei Chen's injuries? Please. Mu Xiaoyang placed her hands on her chest. Her clear eyes were filled with pleading. Ning Fan could not help but laugh and patted Mu Xiaoyang's head. He was defeated by her pure eyes. Don't worry. Little Black is my demon pet. How can I not care about her life and death? Let's go. Bring me to her room. I will help her heal her injuries. As soon as Ning Fan finished speaking, he directly held Mu Xiaoyang's soft waist and flew towards the demon city in a ray of traveling light. Commander Yu Hai and the other cultivators of the Yellow Spring City did not stop Ning Fan. Anyone with discerning eyes could see that Ning Fan and Mei Chen had an ambiguous relationship. The Yellow Spring City was Mei Chen's territory. Naturally, Ning Fan could come and go as he pleased without anyone stopping him. However, many ghost cultivators looked at Ning Fan with admiration. This young Master Ning is really amazing. He actually dared to hold Lady Mei's hand in public and she did not resist at all. What exactly is the relationship between him and Lady Mei? Could it be that they are Tao companions? Oh my God! If this person is Lady Mei's Tao companion, he can be considered as the second lord of our Yellow Spring City. Being able to win Lady Mei's favor, this young Master Ning's charm really shouldn't be underestimated. Young Master Ning called Lady Mei Chen Little Black, but she actually did not fight him to the death. It seems that the relationship between Lady Mei and young Master Ning is really good. Ning Fan passed through layers of ghost mist and stopped in front of the most heavily guarded resting palace in the Yellow Spring City. Then, he landed on the ground. Ning Fan completely ignored the rays of formation light. His finger was surrounded by golden-purple mist and he pointed at the formation light. The formation light immediately split into two, revealing a passage. Ning Fan put Mu Xiaoyang down and the two of them walked into the resting palace side by side. In the resting palace, Mei Chen had just returned. After walking around for a while, her face became even paler. Her injuries were aggravated and she could barely maintain her human form. She was about to turn into the demon form of a yellow spring sable. Just as she sat on the edge of the bed, Ning Fan had already entered the resting palace before she could sit properly. It made her slightly displeased. "Stinky man, who allowed you to enter my resting palace?" Cough cough. She felt a sharp pain in her chest and coughed a few times. Traces of red blood seeped out from the corner of her lips. "You are my demon pet. Your resting palace is naturally my resting palace. I can enter whenever I want. Do I still need anyone's permission?" Ning Fan teased her but his eyes were filled with a hint of pity. "Pa! Who is your demon pet? If you dare to talk nonsense again, I will." Cough cough. Mei Chen retorted again, aggravating her injuries and causing her to cough out blood again. While she was speaking, Ning Fan and Mu Xiaoyang had already walked to the front of the bed. "Ning Fan, quickly save Sister Mei Chen," Mu Xiaoyang said anxiously. "Don't worry." Ning Fan ignored Mei Chen's murderous eyes and smiled faintly. All of a sudden, he stretched out his hand and used his plucking finger on her. In the past, Ning Fan was still at the harmonious spirit realm. He could not completely subdue Mei Chen with his plucking finger. Now, Ning Fan was already a void refinement realm cultivator while Mei Chen was severely injured. She could not resist at all when he used his finger on her. Her entire body went numb and she fell to the bed behind her. "Shameless! How dare you use a bewitching technique on me when I am severely injured? You are the most shameless man I have ever seen in my life. What are you trying to do to me? Stop! Don't take off my clothes. Don't touch me. Don't touch me here." Mei Chen scolded with a red face. She could only watch Ning Fan taking off her clothes. However, her entire body went numb and she could not resist at all. Ning Fan took off Mei Chen's clothes, leaving nothing behind. Then, he carried her up and placed her flat on the bed. Mei Chen's body was as smooth and clean as a porcelain sculpture. There was not a single wound on her body. However, Ning Fan knew that her injuries were not external wounds. Instead, they were injuries to her demon soul. In her dantian, her demon soul had been completely dispersed in her immortal veins. There was no way for her to reform. The only way to stabilize Mei Chen's injuries was to condense the scattered monster soul power again. Even if her injuries are stabilized, her cultivation base had already dropped to the first heavenly layer of the void fragmentation realm. She risked her life to fight against Bone Sovereign for Ning Fan. Her injuries were too severe. Even the Black Star technique and Sixth Revolution pills might not be able to heal her. In order to completely heal her injuries and restore her cultivation base, she would need at least a high-grade 7th Revolution healing pill. Ning Fan did not have such a high-grade healing pill with him. Thus, he could not help Mei Chen recover from her injuries. At most, he could only help her suppress her injuries. His palms activated traces of black starlight and caressed Mei Chen's smooth and tender body. When their skin touched, Ning Fan silently chanted the yin-yang transformation. His heart was as firm as a boulder. However, Mei Chen was panting from Ning Fan's touch. "Stinky man! Stop touching me! Really, I can't touch you anymore. I can't hold it anymore, hurry. Stop! Stop, N. After an unknown period of time, the power of the plucking finger gradually drowned Mei Chen's rationality. She no longer said anything. She just let out a moan with seductive eyes. Ning Fan's palms moved along the route of her immortal veins, guiding the demon soul power back to her dantian. When his hand accidentally touched the softness between Mei Chen's thighs, she could no longer endure it. A wave of warmth overflowed from her body, her delicate body trembled uncontrollably as if she was electrocuted. However, she regained her consciousness after releasing her body. She felt so ashamed that she wanted to die. The second time. This was the second time she released her body because of Ning Fan's touch. Last time, she was in the body of a small sable. It was fine if her body was released. This time, she was in the body of a human. Mei Chen wished that she could find a piece of tofu and knock herself to death after Ning Fan saw such an erotic scene. How dare you play with me like this? I'm going to kill you. Mei Chen pulled a thin blanket to cover her body. She raised her hand and slapped Ning Fan in the face. She was extremely embarrassed. When she slapped Ning Fan, she suddenly realized that the demon soul power that was drifting in her immortal veins had been forced back to her dantian by Ning Fan. Her demon soul had been reformed. Even though her demon soul was still weak, her injuries had already been stabilized. Ning Fan's massage technique was very brilliant. However, what was even more brilliant was that black starlight divine ability. It was exactly that black starlight that helped Mei Chen's demon soul to reform in an extremely short period of time. Ning Fan naturally would not allow himself to be slapped by Mei Chen. He grabbed Mei Chen's wrist and pulled her up from the bed. Then, he pulled her into his arms and gave her a slap on her perky buttocks. The crisp sound of the slap made Mei Chen feel so ashamed and resentful that she wanted to die. This time, before she could retaliate, Ning Fan's domineering words had already entered her ears. Little Black, I'm going to punish you severely the next time you let yourself suffer such serious injuries. Remember, you're my demon pet. You can't get hurt so easily. Ning Fan fed Mei Chen a 6th revolution healing pill and used his plucking finger on her, making her feel sleepy. He placed her back on the bed and covered her with a thin blanket. Then, he told Mu Xiaoyang in an indifferent tone. Wei Yang, take care of Little Black and rest for a while. I have some matters to attend to. I'm going to leave Yellow Spring City first. Oh. Mu Xiaoyang nodded her head and answered. She did not ask where Ning Fan was going. Where are you going? Are you going to fight Bone Sovereign? You can't. Even if Bone Sovereign is severely injured now, you're definitely not his match. Mei Chen wanted to ask but her body was too weak to speak. Mu Xiaoyang did not know what Ning Fan meant but how could Mei Chen not know? Mei Chen knew that Ning Fan was leaving Yellow Spring City to head to the 7th region to fight Bone Sovereign. Mei Chen could tell that Ning Fan's current cultivation base was just at the Void Glimpse stage. As for Bone Sovereign, even if he was severely injured and his cultivation base had dropped, he was still a first heavenly layer Void Fragmentation Realm cultivator. Ning Fan would never be Bone Sovereign's match no matter what. If he goes to the 7th region, he would only be courting death. Don't go. Don't go. Mei Chen wanted to stop Ning Fan but the plucking finger's power gradually flowed through her entire body. Her consciousness gradually dimmed and she fell into a deep sleep. Ning Fan did not turn his head back. He just walked out of the sleeping quarters, out of the formation light and out of the Yellow Spring Demon City. He summoned the ancient golden sword and leaped into the air, standing on the tip of the ancient sword. After spending the immortal jade, the ancient sword immediately turned into a ray of pure golden light and dashed towards the 7th region at full speed. All the ghost cultivators in the entire Yellow Spring Demon City were stunned. All of them could see that Ning Fan was heading towards the 7th region. What is young Master Ning trying to do? Could it be that he is going to the 7th region to fight Bone Sovereign? Young Master Ning is very strong. He can eliminate 1 million ghost soldiers all by himself. However, he is definitely not a void fragmentation realm cultivator. This won't escape my eyes. He isn't a void fragmentation realm cultivator. How can he be Bone Sovereign's match? If he goes to the 7th region rashly, he will be courting death. Ning Fan turned a deaf ear to the discussions of the crowd. Currently, he had enough strength to kill and injure Bone Sovereign. He looked at the large patch of black mist that he could see from afar. As long as he passes through that black mist, he would be able to enter the 7th region. From the 7th region, Ning Fan sensed countless powerful qi. There were Divine Transformation Realm qi and Void Refinement Realm qi. There was also a Void Fragmentation Realm qi which was dispirited and listless. It was none other than Bone Sovereign. Bone Sovereign, fight me. Ning Fan had yet to enter the 7th region, but his voice traveled far under the influence of the baleful qi and devil might. In a white bone ghost city in the 7th region, countless ghost soldiers turned to look at Ning Fan after hearing his voice. Who is so audacious to come to the 7th region and provoke Bone Sovereign? At the center of the ghost city, Bone Sovereign was recuperating in a giant white bone palace. As soon as he heard Ning Fan's voice, Bone Sovereign's eyes immediately turned bloodshot. He gritted his teeth in hatred. It's him. Just now, I was still wondering why the Gold Core Realm clone that I sent to the 3rd region would die, why the life plates of the Ghost and Ice Baleful duo would shatter, and why the 4 white bone puppets would lose their Void Refinement Realm qi. It seems like everything is his doing. Ning Fan. You are just an ant. How dare you come to the 7th region and provoke me? You are just seeking death. Rumble. 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 Outside the white bone ghost city, layers of formation light were forcefully shattered by someone. Groups of ghost soldiers were turned into ashes. Bone Sovereign turned into a ray of light and flew out of the main hall in a flash. He stood in the sky and stared at the cold and indifferent young man who broke into the 7th region alone. I'm not going to ask you why you are here. I just want to tell you that since you have entered the 7th region today, don't even think about leaving this place alive. Where are the 5 million ghost soldiers? Kill this sinner for me. As soon as Bone Sovereign gave his order, nearly 5 million white bone ghost soldiers immediately rushed towards Ning Fan like a tidal wave. Each of them had at least a Gold Core Realm cultivation base. Bone Sovereign stared at Ning Fan coldly. In front of him were 12 Void Refinement Realm experts and 5,000 Divine Transformation Realm experts. From Bone Sovereign's point of view, he could eliminate Ning Fan just by relying on his overwhelming numbers. There was no need for him to kill Ning Fan personally. 40 years ago, Ning Fan was just a harmonious spirit realm ant. 40 years later, no matter how powerful Ning Fan's abilities were, Bone Sovereign did not put him in his eyes at all. He can't resist my 5 million ghost soldiers. Bone Sovereign sneered confidently. At the next moment, the smile on his face stiffened and turned into an expression of disbelief. He saw Ning Fan facing the 5 million ghost soldiers alone without showing any fear. He just raised his hand indifferently and bit off his little finger. His little finger healed itself in an instant. The broken finger, on the other hand, fell to the ground and turned into 6 million Gold Core Realm devil soldiers with surging devil qi. Then, they fought against Bone Sovereign's ghost soldiers. The ancient devil Dao, turning broken bones into soldiers. Ning Fan had secretly learned this technique from immortal Emperor Mo Zhong. It was the most authentic ancient devil ability. Even though Bone Sovereign also knew this technique, he definitely could not summon 6 million devil soldiers with it. Impossible. This is absolutely impossible. Even I can only summon 100,000 Gold Core Realm devil soldiers at the cost of my broken bones. This young man can actually summon 6 million devil soldiers in one go. How is this possible? It has only been 40 years. How could this young man's abilities become so strong? Bone Sovereign's eyes were filled with astonishment. 40 years ago, Bone Sovereign had transformed into Wang Yao and was defeated by Ning Fan. 40 years later, Ning Fan already had the strength to enter the 7th region and challenge Bone Sovereign. This was the first battle between the two of them after 40 years. 6 million devil soldiers and 5 million ghost soldiers fought a bloody battle on the wasteland. In just a short period of time, both sides had suffered countless casualties. Mountains of corpses and seas of blood piled up on the wasteland. Fresh blood dyed the land of the 7th region, which spanned tens of thousands of li red. Gradually, the ghost army of Bone Sovereign began to show signs of losing. Chapter 531. Ning Fan stood on the ancient sword. On the ground beneath his feet, countless devil and ghost soldiers were either dead or injured. Fresh blood dyed the ground red, murderous aura covered the sky, and earth-shaking battle cries resounded from all directions. The wasteland that covers 10,000 li was filled with corpses and skeletons. The momentum of the ghost soldiers under the Bone Sovereign formation gradually weakened. At the end of the day, they were 1 million weaker than Ning Fan. Bone Sovereign's face turned ashen when he saw the ghost soldiers bowing to him. The current Bone Sovereign was dressed in a grey robe and still had the body of a teenager. His appearance was vaguely similar to Wang Yao in the past, but it was completely different from his initial appearance. His eyes flashed with a ferocious red light. He already understood that the ghost army would not be able to take down Ning Fan. 40 years ago, Ning Fan was just a harmonious spirit realm cultivator. 40 years later, he actually became a void refinement realm cultivator. Even though Bone Sovereign was unwilling to accept it, he had to admit that Ning Fan's innate talent in cultivation was incomparable to him. However, he could not allow a void refinement realm ant to bully him no matter what. Not bad. To a void fragmentation realm expert like him, void refinement realm cultivators were just ants. 2 hours later, all of the 5 million ghost soldiers were dead while there were still around 2 million devil soldiers left. The stench of blood spread across the entire 7th region. As Ning Fan released the magic technique, the remaining devil weapons turned into ashes and dissipated. Ning Fan quietly looked at Bone Sovereign. He had won the first battle of the devil weapons. Where are the 5,000 soul transformation stage cultivators? Form the 7 light bone sacrificing array. Bone Sovereign was enraged. 5,000 divine transformation realm ghosts got into formation. All of a sudden, the 5,000 divine transformation realm cultivators turned into rays of light that moved in the sky and on the ground, surrounding Ning Fan from 7 directions. All the semi-god realm warriors cast a spell at the same time. A white bone formation appeared under everyone's feet. Beams of white light connected all the diagrams into one, and a huge shadow of a white bone profound tortoise appeared in each of the 7 directions. With the 7 white-boned profound tortoises as the 7 corners, the array lights connected with each other, forming a huge heptagram array. Just by standing in the middle of the formation light, Ning Fan could already feel the yin qi corroding his bones. His magic power felt like it was about to turn into ice. His body stiffened and he could not move at all. This 7-pointed bone sacrifice array was very powerful. Its power was close to that of an immortal void realm array. Even if a great void cultivator was trapped in the formation light, he wouldn't be able to escape easily. Once he was frozen into ice by the formation light, even his primordial spirit would perish. There was no way he could survive. The light of the 7-pointed star formation rotated violently. In an instant, Ning Fan's long hair and blood were frozen. Even his sea of consciousness began to freeze. When the 7-pointed star rotated for the second time, Ning Fan's sea of consciousness was completely frozen, making it difficult for him to think. Ning Fan seemed to be able to see the bumpy path of cultivation that he had been on. Then, his thoughts began to blur and even his consciousness was about to freeze. Illusions appeared before his eyes. It was as if he was in a world of ice, and he was the only one left in this world. He was going to freeze to death here, alone and helpless. Each time the seven-pointed star rotated, Ning Fan's life force would diminish a little. 40 years of slaughter, 500 years of loneliness, all the warm and sorrowful memories were gradually buried in this ice river world. No. Ning Fan suddenly opened his eyes and stared coldly at the seven-pointed star formation light. This formation was indeed powerful. It could freeze his body, his cultivation base and his memories, but not even the heavenly Tao could freeze his undying will. The heavens could collapse, the earth could be overturned, the Tao could vanish and life could be extinguished. Only his undying will would never be extinguished. Void ignition. Ning Fan's 10 fingers moved rapidly. His black hair danced wildly in the air. All of a sudden, a gigantic diagram of black flames appeared beneath his feet. Countless rings of black void flames ignited in all directions, incinerating the traces of cold ice. The sea of flames surged. Ning Fan's life force was depleting rapidly. The black flames around his body suddenly turned into millions of black fiery butterflies. At this moment, the seven-pointed bone sacrifice formation stopped rotating. At this moment, all the cold chi in heaven and earth vanished into thin air. The 5,000 divine transformation realm guards coughed out blood. They stared at the millions of black butterflies in disbelief. They felt an indescribable fear in their hearts. The 12 void refinement realm guards turned pale with fright. They felt that their primordial spirits were about to be ignited by the void flames from the technique of the black butterflies. Bone Sovereign's eyes widened in anger. He stared at the black butterflies in disbelief. After a long time, he gritted his teeth and said with hatred, "This is an immortal technique? No. It's not an immortal technique. However, it is infinitely close to the grade of an immortal technique. How is this possible? Immortal technique." It was a powerful technique that could only be displayed by immortals who had ascended to become immortals. Bone Sovereign could not see through the specific grade of this technique. However, he could feel a sense of danger from it. As Ning Fan changed his hand seal, the millions of black butterflies were burning with black flames. Their wings were burning and condensed into a gigantic black fiery butterfly. The wings of the butterfly seemed to be able to cover the entire sky. Its body was burning with void flames. It wanted to kill its enemies even if it had to burn its wings. The gigantic butterfly aimed its wings at the 7 white-boned profound tortoises and suddenly flapped its wings. Just by flapping its wings for the first time, Ning Fan had already consumed more than half of his magic power and essence chi. Rings of black flames spread out and turned the 7 white-boned profound tortoises into ashes. The second flap. The gigantic butterfly aimed its wings at the 5,000 divine transformation realm cultivators. With just a flap of its wings, all of them were burned into ashes by the rings of fire before they could even react. The countless layers of formation light of the 7-pointed bone sacrifice formation collapsed one after another. At this moment, the gigantic butterfly aimed at Bone Sovereign's direction and flapped its wings for the third time. All of a sudden, Bone Sovereign's expression changed greatly. He turned into a ray of gray traveling light and directly soared into the sky, avoiding the attack range of the gigantic butterfly. However, none of the 12 void refinement realm guards in front of him managed to escape. Among them, there were 6 void glimpse stage experts, 4 void inquiry stage experts and 2 void pierce stage experts. However, under the third flap of the butterfly's wings, none of them managed to escape. All of them were turned into ashes and dissipated. Die. Ning Fan's magic power and essence chi were all depleted. Moreover, he was injured by the backlash of this void ignition immortal technique. He could not flap the 4th time no matter what. Otherwise, he himself would also turn into ashes. The 3rd flap was already his limit. Activating the life-killing technique, he absorbed all the blood qi within the 10,000 li of the battlefield into his stomach, turning them into traces of essence qi. In an instant, his essence qi had recovered to its peak. As long as the sea of blood in this battlefield does not disappear, his essence qi would not disappear. This was the scariest part of the ancient devil ability, the life-killing technique. All the ghosts in the entire 7th region were slaughtered by Ning Fan alone. Bone Sovereign was the only one left alive. Bone Sovereign's eyes were filled with shock and doubt as he stared at Ning Fan. He could not believe that Ning Fan's ability could reach such a terrifying extent after 40 years. He could burn all of his subordinates with just a single flame technique. If it wasn't for his fast speed in escaping, he would have suffered some injuries from the third flap. He did not want to admit it, but he had to admit that the current Ning Fan was qualified for him to take him seriously. Good. Very good. Your Void Ignition Butterfly Flame technique is indeed powerful. I'm afraid even an absolute Void Stage Cultivator might not be able to withstand your third flap of Void Flames. However, it's still not enough if you want to fight me with this technique. I'm severely injured. My cultivation base has fallen from the 5th heavenly layer of the Void Fragmentation realm to the 1st heavenly layer. However, unless you display this technique for more than the 5th flap, you definitely won't be able to kill me with this technique. I suppose this is already your strongest ability. Now, you can die. White Bone Dao, Dance of the Early Fern. Bone Sovereign sneered and suddenly performed a hand seal. Countless white bone spikes shot out from the countless mountains and rivers in the 7th region. Each of the white bone spikes was tens of thousands of zhang long. They were as sharp as blades and as large as mountains. The bone spikes pierced through the ground, piercing through the tall mountains from the bottom. The ground of the entire 7th region cracked and shook violently. Even the ghosts in the first few regions could feel the terrifying waves of magic techniques in the 7th region. Qi. Qi. Qi bone spikes that were as dense as raindrops pierced the sky. All of a sudden, countless bone spikes that were hanging upside down appeared in the sky and pierced down from the sky. They were like 2 iron sieves that were filled with sharp spikes, pressing down on Ning Fan from 2 different directions. Ning Fan had no way to retreat at all. The entire 7th region was within Bone Sovereign's attack range. Even if he had an absolute Void Stage cultivation base, he would certainly not be able to withstand a single attack from Bone Sovereign. After all, it was a true Void Fragmentation realm attack. You're dead meat. Bone Sovereign's cold laughter reverberated across the 7th region like thunder and reached the 6th region. Ning Fan's hair stood on end. At the critical moment, he suddenly patted his storage pouch and took out a palm-sized fiery red puppet. That might not be the case. That puppet expanded in the wind and instantly turned into a 10,000 zhang giant. Ning Fan kept the ancient golden sword and stood on the giant's shoulder. The giant's eyes were empty, but they were filled with respect towards Ning Fan. As Ning Fan gave the order, he suddenly stomped on the ground and punched the heavens, flattening all the bone spikes in the area. Even if these bone spikes could kill an absolute Void Stage cultivator, they certainly could not kill this flame giant. However, this flame giant was the Void Fragmentation realm puppet that Ning Fan had subdued in the past. It was the Dao Guardian, Giant Jihua. When Bone Sovereign's magic technique was broken, his injuries worsened. He took several steps back in the sky. Each step he took would shatter the space and he would cough out a mouthful of blood every time he took a step back. His eyes were flashing with blood-red light. He glared at Ning Fan with a look of disbelief. A Void Fragmentation realm puppet. This is absolutely impossible. Why does a Void Refinement realm ant like you have a Void Fragmentation realm puppet to protect you? You don't need to know. Jihua, kill him. As Ning Fan gave the order, Giant Jihua took a step forward and pointed a finger at Bone Sovereign. Seeing that the situation was not good for him, Bone Sovereign hurriedly transformed into a 10,000 zhang tall white bone giant. He opened his mouth and roared, producing circles of white bone sound waves that attacked giant Jihua. White Bone Dao, Bone Devil Sound. In the past, Bone Sovereign's clone, Wang Yao, had used this technique to kill countless cultivators of Yu country. When Bone Sovereign used this technique with his Void Fragmentation Realm true body, its destructive power was even more extraordinary. However, in Giant Jihua's eyes, this technique was not worth mentioning at all. The giant's finger did not slow down at all. The vast sky within 200,000 li was completely sealed by the fiery red heavenly tribulation clouds. The sky seemed to be burning. The entire seventh region seemed to have turned into a steamer. The circles of Bone Devil sound waves were crushed by giant Jihua's finger. My name is Jihua. Under my master's order, I'm going to send you a tribulation. The heavenly Tao will be the cauldron and you will be the pill. Refine. All of a sudden, flames that seemed to be real yet illusory descended from the sky, enveloping the giant that Bone Sovereign had transformed into. It then turned into a gigantic flaming pill cauldron, trapping Bone Sovereign. As the sea of flames rose from the pill cauldron, Bone Sovereign immediately let out a shrill scream. He could not believe that Ning Fan not only possessed a void fragmentation realm puppet but also had extraordinary combat power. It could actually use the flames of the heavenly tribulation as a means of attack. This is absolutely impossible. I don't believe it. Bone Sovereign was enraged. The red light in his eyes gradually became brighter. He was Bone Sovereign. He wanted to destroy this tribulation cauldron. Chapter 532. The cauldron that giant Jihua had summoned was the fire of heavenly tribulation, so its power was nothing to scoff at. Every wisp of flame contained ancient runes. Even Bone King would find it hard to escape from the cauldron. At the moment of life and death, a blood-red thunderbolt shot out from Bone Sovereign's right eye. This blood-red thunderbolt was the force of the extreme realm. It was comprehended by Bone Sovereign from the heavenly tribulation and contained the might of the heavenly tribulation. The heavenly tribulation lightning clashed with the heavenly tribulation fire, causing the pill furnace to shatter. The remaining red lightning of the pinnacle realm instantly struck giant Jihua, severely injuring him. Boom! As the pill furnace was destroyed, Bone Sovereign finally broke out of it and escaped. However, he was severely injured and his cultivation base dropped again. Now, he was only left with the cultivation base of the Void Pierce stage. He had already reverted to his original form, but he was unable to maintain his giant form. He had already transformed back into the appearance of a grey-clothed youth. Giant Jihua was injured by the Bone Monarch's Ji realm, and his puppet body was almost half destroyed. This was enough to show how powerful the Bone Monarch's attack was. Giant Jihua's cultivation base was at the first heavenly layer of the Void Fragmentation realm. Moreover, it was rare for him to find a worthy opponent among those at the same level. However, Bone Sovereign was once an expert at the fifth heavenly layer of the Void Fragmentation realm. Even if his cultivation base had fallen to the same level as the giant, his strength was still slightly stronger than the giant. After being struck by the Bone King, the giant could no longer fight unless it recovered. However, Bone Emperor's eyes were still filled with an indelible shock. I understand now. This Void Fragmentation realm puppet is the Tao Guardian who controls the heavenly tribulation. You're a madman. You actually captured a Tao Guardian to use as a puppet. You've completely offended the Nine Realms' first ring of heavenly Tao. Ning Fan did not pay attention to Bone Sovereign. He just glanced at giant Jihua who was severely injured and sighed softly. Bone Sovereign was not an ordinary cultivator. At his peak, he was merely an expert at the fifth heavenly layer of the Void Fragmentation realm, which was comparable to Moksha Sovereign. It was already impressive that giant Jihua was able to knock Bone Sovereign's cultivation level down. Since he couldn't use it now, he decided to wait until he recovered before using it. There was no need for giant Jihua to deal with Bone Sovereign who had fallen to the void-pierced stage. Ning Fan alone was enough to deal with him. With a flick of his sleeve, the giant turned into a doll and was kept in his storage pouch. Ning Fan summoned his 8 black burning wings and touched his glabella. Then, he took out the Separation Slayer sword. With a flash of light, he dashed straight at Bone Emperor. His sword was extremely simple. Strength. The sword light slashed at the Bone Emperor's head with a tremendous force that could push mountains and fill the seas. Bone Emperor raised his fist and punched at the sword light with the same mountain-shattering force. The fist ray and the sword ray collided and both shattered. However, the moment Ning Fan's sword light shattered, countless hidden black fishing lines suddenly shot out from it. This scene was similar to what Fang Xi had done on the other day, hiding the fishing line in a spell. The black fishing line had an aura that made one's heart palpitate. How would Bone Sovereign dare to underestimate it? He immediately retreated 10,000 miles away, but his right arm was still pierced by the fishing line. In the blink of an eye, the vitality of his entire right arm flowed away, and the aura of death overflowed as it suddenly turned into ashes and scattered. Ah! Bone Sovereign let out a blood-curdling scream as he lost his right arm. He clutched his broken arm and stared at Ning Fan in fear. He did not expect that Ning Fan would also know this strange fishing line technique that could corrode everything apart from the void ignition technique. As a void fragmentation realm sovereign expert, he was extremely proud and arrogant. However, he had to admit that he was definitely not Ning Fan's match in his current severely injured state. If he is slightly careless, he, a dignified 5th heavenly layer void fragmentation realm expert, would lose his life in Ning Fan's hands today. Extreme Realm. Bone Sovereign's right eye shot out a blood-red tribulation lightning which turned into millions of blood-red lightning bolts and struck at Ning Fan. Ning Fan suddenly took a step towards the sky and a massive Tai Su lightning diagram appeared beneath his feet. It absorbed 70% of Bone Sovereign's tribulation lightning into the lightning diagram. At the same time, he spread out his sword sense and destroyed the remaining 30% of the tribulation lightning. If Bone Sovereign uses the tribulation lightning of the extreme realm when he was at his peak, Ning Fan certainly would not be able to withstand it. However, when Bone Sovereign, who was at the void pierce stage, used the extreme realm, he was not afraid at all. Even though Ning Fan had broken Bone Sovereign's extreme realm attack, he did not let his guard down at all. Thus, he also hid Bone Sovereign's trump card behind the extreme realm attack. After the extreme realm attack, there was a treasure which launched a sneak attack at Ning Fan. It was a golden brush that was surrounded by flames and frost. The golden brush swung in the air and drew a golden rune in the sky. It was also surrounded by flames and frost. Ning Fan did not know what kind of brush it was nor what kind of rune it was. That golden rune expanded to 10,000 zhang in size and pressed down on Ning Fan's head. The aura force of this golden rune alone made Ning Fan's magic power stagnate, making it hard for him to breathe. His entire body felt like it was nailed to the sky and he could not move at all. Ning Fan forcefully lifted his Separation Slayer sword and pushed its power to its limit. Then, he thrust it at the golden rune above his head. Under the tremendous force, the golden rune was shattered but Ning Fan's longsword was knocked out of his hand. The bones in one of his arms were nearly shattered. Just a single golden rune was actually infinitely close to the destructive power of an absolute void stage attack. This golden brush looks a little familiar. I seem to have heard of it somewhere before. In the profound Yin world, Luo Yu pondered. She was ready to lend Ning Fan a helping hand at any time when he is in danger. I don't know what this golden brush is but I know what the flames and frost on it are. Among the heavenly frost and earthly flames, they are the earth-blazing flame and mending heaven heart that are ranked first. Ning Fan's eyes revealed a solemn expression. This is the immortal brush that I picked up at the entrance of the 8th region. Each of its strokes can produce a golden rune. The power of these runes is unfathomable. With your cultivation base, how many runes can you block? Bone Sovereign pointed at the golden brush in the sky. The golden brush drew 2 strokes in the sky and instantly turned into 2 golden runes. The 2 golden runes were already equivalent to an attack from an ordinary absolute void stage cultivator. The 2 golden runes grew to 10,000 zhang in size and suddenly came crashing down. If Ning Fan tries to block the golden runes again this time, all the bones in his body would certainly be shattered. Rumble, the golden runes came crashing down on Ning Fan's head. Pieces of the ground and the sky were shattered. The place where Ning Fan was standing was blasted into ruins. Bone Sovereign looked at Ning Fan, who no longer existed, and sneered. With your insignificant cultivation base, you're actually worthy of being my enemy? You're just seeking your own death. Is that so? Countless black shadows suddenly dispersed in the vast sky and condensed into a black-haired young man in black robes. There was a demonic mark on the left side of his face, but the corner of his lips was bleeding. At the critical moment, Ning Fan summoned his primordial lightning armor and revealed his incarnation. The primordial lightning armor was shattered by the golden runes. Even though Ning Fan used his incarnation to block the attack of the 2 golden runes, he still suffered serious injuries. Humph! I didn't expect you to escape my killing blow by destroying your incarnation. However, even though you weren't killed by the 2 golden runes, you won't be able to withstand the attack of 3 golden runes. With my Void Pierce stage magic power, I can only use the golden brush to form 3 golden runes at most. Even an ordinary absolute void stage cultivator would find it hard to withstand the combined attack of 3 golden runes. Next, you will die for sure. Bone Sovereign burst into laughter. He pointed at the sky and tried to activate the golden brush to draw 3 golden runes again. However, at the next moment, Bone Sovereign's face turned pale. To his horror, he realized that the golden brush had lost its effect and could not be activated. He suddenly raised his head and looked at the golden brush in the sky. To his surprise, he realized that the flames and ice which were originally revolving around the golden brush had vanished into thin air. Because of the disappearance of the flames, the golden brush actually lost its power and could no longer be activated. As for Bone Sovereign, his life was intertwined with the golden brush. Now that the flames of the golden brush were taken away, his injuries became even more serious. His cultivation base fell from the Void Pierce stage, leaving him with only a Void Inquiry stage cultivation base. Are you looking for this earth-blazing flame? The black-robed Ning Fan raised his hand expressionlessly. He was holding a ball of blazing golden flames. When he destroyed his incarnation just now, he had already secretly used the fire-plucking technique to seize the earth-blazing flame from the golden brush. Now that the golden brush had lost its power, it would be impossible for it to draw 3 golden runes. Ning Fan looked at Bone Sovereign indifferently. His expression was cold and emotionless. He and Bone Sovereign had a few grudges against each other. Today, however, everything would be resolved. You who only have a Void Inquiry stage cultivation base is nothing in my eyes. You can die now. With a single step, Ning Fan vanished without a trace. Bone Sovereign's hair stood on end and a sense of danger rose within him. I will die. I will die. He wanted to keep the golden brush and flee. However, he realized that countless strange bloodlines suddenly appeared on his body, freezing him in the sky and making him unable to move. Ning Fan's cold figure suddenly appeared behind him. He held a ball of black fishing line in his hand and threw it at Bone Sovereign's back. No matter how strong Bone Sovereign's physical body was, which was comparable to a body refinement cultivator at the first heavenly layer of the Nirvana realm, his body was still easily pierced by the fishing line. His entire body was rapidly decaying under the entanglement of death chi. Bone Sovereign's eyes flashed with hatred. He knew that he could not escape today no matter what. The only thing he could do was to die. He had once died in the hands of the Sword Ancestor. After that, he revived in the body of a ghost in this demon-sinister forest. He had cultivated diligently for many years and attained the void fragmentation realm again. However, he died in Ning Fan's hands before he could attain the great Tao. He was unwilling to accept this. He regretted even more that he had offended this young man in the past and became enemies with him. However, it was too late for him to regret now. I am Bone Sovereign. Even if I have to die, I will never die in the hands of a junior like you. The only one who can kill me is myself. His eyes widened in anger. He activated his primordial spirit and was about to self-detonate. He wanted to detonate himself. He wanted to kill Ning Fan with his own life. It was difficult to avoid the self-detonation of a void fragmentation realm expert even if one hid in the space of the heavenly dwelling. Bone Sovereign revealed a maniacal smile. He wanted to perish together with Ning Fan. Die. With a loud bang, Bone Sovereign's primordial spirit self-detonated and died. However, the force of his self-detonation turned into a terrifying wave that flattened the entire 7th region. After a long time, Ning Fan appeared above the ruins of the 7th region with a sway of his body. Unfortunately, Bone Sovereign could not kill him with his explosion. At the moment when Bone Sovereign self-detonated, Ning Fan directly entered the profound Yin world to avoid the destructive force of his self-detonation. Ning Fan stood on top of the ruins for a long time. His eyes scanned across the boundless ruins, the corpses that were so badly mutilated that they could not be identified, the ashes on the ground, the sense beads, the broken treasures and the golden brush that Bone Sovereign left behind. For a long time, Ning Fan remained silent. He closed his eyes and felt a little lonely inside. He had incurred several grudges with Bone Sovereign. Putting aside Bone Sovereign's personality, he was indeed an extremely difficult opponent to deal with. As for him, he would rather commit suicide than die in Ning Fan's hands. He could be considered as a man with backbone. Unfortunately, you shouldn't have become enemies with me. Once you become enemies with me, either you or I will die in this battle of cultivation. Don't provoke me in your next life. Ning Fan flicked his sleeves and kept the spoils of war on the ground before leaving quietly. When he returned to the Yellow Spring Demon City, the entire city was dumbfounded. Bone Sovereign was dead. He died in Ning Fan's hands. There were no survivors in the 7th region. Just looking at the ruins that stretched for 1,000,000 li was enough to make the ghost cultivators of the city tremble with fear. What kind of terrifying battle had actually taken place in the 7th region? You actually killed Bone Sovereign. Mu Xiaoyang covered her small mouth with her hand and stood there in a daze. She could not regain her senses for a long time. The Sovereign King of the Demon Sinister Forest had actually died in Ning Fan's hands. This was just too unbelievable. Mu Xiaoyang looked at Mei Chen who was sleeping on the bed. Even though she was unconscious, her eyebrows were filled with worry. She was probably worried about Ning Fan. If she wakes up and finds out that Ning Fan had massacred the entire 7th region and killed Bone Sovereign, how surprised would she be? Let her sleep for a while more. I also need to have a good rest. Ning Fan revealed a tired smile. His arm bones were still aching and his immortal veins were still swollen. Ning Fan's injuries in this battle were definitely not light. This time, he had no idea how long he would have to recuperate. Chapter 533. Mei Chen was still unconscious while Ning Fan went into the Yuanya world and entered the dark golden pagoda. Inside the 7-floored pagoda, Ning Fan waved his hand and summoned 99 natal black stars, bathing them in the starlight that filled the sky. Then, he took out a 6th revolution medicine and swallowed it. He closed his eyes and began to heal himself. Ning Fan sat inside the dark golden pagoda for 3 years. Only then did he manage to fully recover from his injuries. Only half a month had passed in the outside world. Slowly heaving a sigh of relief, Zhang Xian opened his eyes. His black pupils were as deep as the abyss, devoid of any emotion. When he recalled killing the Bone Sovereign half a month ago, it felt like a dream. Bone Sovereign is a formidable enemy. He's also the first void fragmentation expert that I've killed, but he definitely won't be the last one. Although void fragmentation experts are strong and have reached the first step of cultivation, they can still be killed. Han Yetian, I am walking towards you step by step. Ning Fan closed his eyes and inspected his own body. He realized that his baleful chi had become much heavier. Even though Wuxia Sovereign had committed suicide, the cause of his death was because he fought with Ning Fan. Therefore, Ning Fan was more or less tainted with some baleful chi. Ning Fan seemed to have understood something. He suddenly remembered a saying in the mortal world. I didn't kill Boren, but Boren died because of me. After killing someone, one would be tainted with baleful chi. This contained the principle of karma. Karma, ha. If I can sever my karma, I can kill people without being tainted by baleful chi. The reason why I was attacked by Giant Jihua the last time I broke through to the Void Glimpse stage was because I have committed too many killings in my life and was tainted by too much baleful chi. Above the four heavens, those true immortals and immortal emperors probably couldn't avoid fighting. They destroyed planets and killed billions of people. The number of people they killed must be countless times more than me. However, they were not troubled by the heavenly Tao. I'm sure many of them have the means to sever karma and avoid the baleful aura. Ning Fan said to himself. He was only thinking about these things and had no intention of erasing the baleful aura. This ominous aura came from the killings he had committed. However, he had never regretted the killings he had committed, so there was naturally no need to hide it. I have walked my own path. That is my path. There is no need to regret it. He gathered his thoughts and began to rummage through his storage bag. There were many spoils of war inside. 5 million gold core realm sense beads, 5,000 divine transformation realm sense beads, 12 void refinement realm sense beads and 1/5 heavenly layer void fragmentation realm sense beads. There were countless damaged and undamaged magical treasures, and countless worn-out storage bags filled with spirit herbs that had been growing in the 7th region for countless years. Ning Fan gave them a rough glance and made a rough estimation. Among this batch of spiritual herbs, there were nearly 50 tufts of 100,000 years old spiritual herbs, 3,000 tufts of 50,000 years old spiritual herbs, 70,000 tufts of 10,000 years old spiritual herbs and countless thousand years old spiritual herbs. These spiritual herbs were more than enough for Ning Fan to squander freely. What Ning Fan cared about the most was the spoils of war that he had seized from Bone Sovereign. Other than the golden brush, Ning Fan had also seized Bone Sovereign's storage pouch. There were a lot of good things in Bone Sovereign's storage pouch. There was even a low-grade 7th Revolution healing pill. Ning Fan pondered for a moment and decided to leave this pill for Mei Chen. Although Mei Chen would need to take at least a high-grade 7th Revolution medicine to heal her injuries, this low-grade medicinal pill would still help her heal a little. Other than this pill, there were also many other pills in Bone Sovereign's storage pouch. Among them, there were actually 4 first heavenly layer void fragmentation realm ghost sense beads. Ning Fan guessed that these 4 void fragmentation realm ghost beads must have been obtained by Bone Sovereign when he unified the 7th region in the past. It was imaginable what kind of terrifying massacre Bone Sovereign had committed in the 7th region in the past. He had even killed 4 void fragmentation realm ghosts. After keeping the spiritual herbs and the sense beads, Ning Fan's eyes fell upon the golden brush and the earth brilliant flame. The earth brilliant flame was originally attached to the golden brush while Bone Sovereign had picked it up at the entrance of the 8th region by chance. The number 1 heavenly frost cold chi and the number 1 earth vein demonic flame were actually attached to this golden brush. What exactly is the origin of this golden brush? It was a golden brush that was once used by an immortal. The grade of its magic treasure was not high. However, after pouring cold chi and spiritual fire into it, it could unleash its power and draw golden talismans with immeasurable power to attack the enemy. It was indeed extraordinary. Little you heir, do you remember the origin of this golden brush? Let me think about it carefully. In the profound Yin world, Luo Yu fell into deep thought, which was rare for her. She rummaged through the memories in her mind, trying to recall where she had heard about this golden brush before. However, she could not recall it at the moment. When her eyes fixed on the earth-brilliant flame and the heaven-mending heart, she suddenly remembered. Heavenly frost cold chi and earth-vein demonic flame. Yes. This is one of the talisman brushes of the Golden Talisman Palace. Golden Talisman Palace. It was Ning Fan's first time hearing about the name of the Golden Talisman Palace. The Golden Talisman Palace is an ancient force located in the southern heaven immortal world. It was annihilated tens of millions of years ago. That's why I couldn't recall it at that moment. It was only when I saw the heavenly frost earth flame that I recalled it. Luo Yu paused for a moment as if she was trying her best to recall. Then, she continued. The Golden Talisman Palace is a talisman cultivation sect. Their disciples are experts in crafting and drawing talismans. Each of them has a golden brush as a magical treasure. The golden brush is not only a tool for crafting talismans but also a token of identity for the disciples of the Golden Talisman Palace. If you don't have a golden brush with you, you won't be able to enter the remains of the Golden Talisman Palace. Look at this golden brush. Is there a name and position on it? Upon hearing her words, Ning Fan carefully studied the golden brush. At the end of the brush, he saw an ancient inscription. Golden Talisman Palace Warehouse Deacon. Swa Jie. Ning Fan read aloud. Hee, little brother, you're really lucky. Although the Golden Talisman Palace has been destroyed, there are still 108 vaults in the ruins that are in a sealed state. If little brother ascends to the southern heaven celestial realm one day and goes to the ruins of the Golden Talisman Palace, you can use this golden brush to retrieve the treasures that Swa Jie guarded in the past. That's a treasure that was guarded by an immortal. I'm sure there's a lot of good stuff in there, Luo Yu said with a chuckle. Apart from being a talisman drawing magic treasure, this golden brush also has such a use. If that's the case, if I have the chance to go to the southern heaven immortal world, I must make a trip to this Golden Talisman Palace. Ning Fan nodded. If you want to go to the Golden Talisman Palace, it's best if you have the cultivation base of a true immortal. The waters of the Golden Talisman Palace are a little deep. If your cultivation base is too low, you might die in the ruins. Do you know why the Golden Talisman Palace was destroyed all those years ago? Luo Yu withdrew her teasing smile and spoke with a serious expression. Why? The founding ancestor of the Golden Talisman Palace is the painter of the second of the four ancient diagrams. The Golden Talisman Palace was destroyed because it involved the secrets of the four ancient diagrams. The four ancient diagrams again? Ning Fan was surprised. The four ancient diagrams are specially made ancient diagrams. They contain the Great Tao. The first ancient diagram is called the Immemorial Fisherman's Mino painting. It contains the Great Tao of life and death. With your cultivation base, if you obtain the Immemorial Fisherman's Mino painting and comprehend the Tao of life and death within it, it will be a piece of cake for you to break through life and death and ascend to immortality. The second ancient diagram is called the Golden Sky Black Map. It contains the Great Tao of Yin and Yang. It can help a true immortal to break through the illusions of Yin and Yang, comprehend the truth of the Tao and obtain the opportunity to become an immortal emperor. Of course, you're a cultivator of the Yin-Yang transformation. If you obtain the Golden Sky Black Map, I'm sure it will be greatly beneficial to your cultivation of the Yin-Yang transformation. Luo Yu sighed softly. In the past, she had also searched for the Golden Sky Black Map. If she could obtain this map, she would not have to settle for the second best and choose to cultivate the Yin-Yang transformation for revenge. If I obtain the Immemorial Fisherman's Mino painting, I can ascend to immortality. If I obtain the Golden Sky Black Map, I can become an immortal emperor. Ning Fan's heart trembled slightly. The Immemorial Fisherman's Mino painting was one thing, but the golden sky black map was definitely something that countless true immortals would fight for desperately just for the opportunity to become an immortal emperor. It was no wonder that the Golden Talisman Palace was destroyed by someone. A man's wealth was his own ruin. Moreover, the whereabouts of the golden sky black map was currently unknown. Presumably, many true immortals who are searching for maps would lock their sights on the remains of the Golden Talisman Palace. The golden pen in Ning Fan's hand could open one of the 108 vaults of the Golden Talisman Palace. If some true immortals find out that he has a golden pen, would they try to snatch it from him? In other words, unless it's absolutely necessary, I shouldn't show this golden pen to others casually. Ning Fan asked. Just keep this pen for now. This pen can be used to draw golden talismans. It is indeed a powerful magic treasure. However, it's related to the secrets of the 4 ancient diagrams. It's best not to use it casually. Luo Yu reminded him. I understand. I'll keep this golden pen for now. As for the Golden Talisman Palace, I'll go there when I have the chance. If I don't have a sufficient cultivation base, I don't want to go to the remains of the Golden Talisman Palace and court death. Ning Fan extracted the cold chi from the golden pen and kept it away. Looking at the dancing golden spirit flames and black cold chi in front of him, the corner of Ning Fan's lips curled into a smile. After devouring these 2 balls of cold chi and spirit flames, I'll have gathered all 24 types of heavenly cold earth flames. The yin-yang devil fire that I'll create after fusing them should be comparable to a high-grade 7th-grade immortal void flame. It will be greatly beneficial to both pill refinement and magic techniques. Ning Fan calmed his mind and started refining the last 2 types of heavenly cold earth flames. As he refined the earth brilliant flame and heaven repairing heart bit by bit, the left half of Ning Fan's body seemed to be burning. Raging golden flames rose while the right half of his body seemed to be frozen, turning into a black ice sculpture. Another 6 months passed by on the 7th floor of the pagoda. Ning Fan suddenly opened his eyes. Be it the golden flames or the black ice, all of them had been absorbed into his body. He suddenly stood up and raised his hand. An extremely terrifying black flame was dancing in the center of his palm. This black flame was obviously the fusion of countless low-grade spirit flames and cold chi. However, its destructive power was comparable to a high-grade 7th-grade immortal void flame. One should know that even if a pill sovereign possessed a quarter of the pure yang flame, it would only be equivalent to a mid-grade 7th-grade immortal void flame. Since Ning Fan had fused all of the heavenly cold earth flames, the grade of his flames was even higher than the pill sovereign's. Come down. It's time to repair the puppet. Ning Fan kept the black flames into his body. Then, he patted his storage pouch and took out a fiery red puppet that was riddled with holes. Looking at the grave injuries of the puppet, Ning Fan could not help but smile bitterly. Bone Sovereign was really strong. Even though his cultivation base had fallen to the first heavenly layer of the void fragmentation realm, he could still destroy half of giant Jihua with a single strike. If Bone Sovereign was at his peak, he would probably not be much weaker than Moksha Sovereign. Luckily, this puppet isn't completely destroyed. There's still a possibility of repairing it. However, the amount of immortal jade needed to repair a void fragmentation realm puppet is not a small amount. Ning Fan had given the Yellow Spring Demon City billions of immortal jade to guard the city. He did not have much immortal jade left. However, he still had the Tao crystal which was equivalent to tens of billions of immortal jade. It was more than enough to repair the void fragmentation realm puppet. Let's begin, he summoned the puppet. It immediately grew in the wind and turned into a 10,000 zhang giant. Ning Fan surrounded the giant's body and began to set up a grand formation on the ground to repair the puppet. Presumably, it would take a lot of time to repair the puppet. Ning Fan had spent nearly 4 years in the dark golden pagoda. However, only half a month had passed in the outside world. During this time, Mei Chen had already woken up. She was wearing a thin robe and sitting at the head of the bed, staring blankly at the drizzling rain outside the window. She still remembered how shocked she was when she woke up half a month ago and heard the news of Bone Sovereign's death. This stinky man. Even though he is a little shameless, he risked his life for me and the Yellow Spring Demon City. Sigh. Why does he treat me so well? He's just a void glimpse stage cultivator, but he risked his life to fight a void fragmentation realm expert. Isn't he afraid? Today, Mei Chen's injuries had completely stabilized. Her cultivation base had recovered to the first heavenly layer of the void fragmentation realm. However, in order to recover her third heavenly layer void fragmentation realm cultivation base, she must consume a high-grade 7th revolution pill. Mu Xiaoyang was accompanying Mei Chen at her side. When she heard Mei Chen's sigh, she immediately supported her cheeks with one of her hands and showed a fascinated and touched expression. Elder sister Mei Chen, Ning Fan is really good to us. How can we repay him? That's right. How can we repay him? Don't tell me that I really have to be his demon pet to repay him. When Mei Chen thought of that, she immediately felt a chill down her spine. Pooh! I'd rather die than be his demon pet. Just as Mei Chen was mumbling to herself, a teasing voice suddenly resounded. Little Black, you're being naughty again. If you don't want to be my demon pet, who do you want to be? If you become someone else's demon pet, I'm going to get angry. Ning Fan, who was dressed in white robes, walked into the house with a smile on his face. After he left the Yuanyao world, he had already brought all the sense beads in the Yellow Spring Demon City with him. As soon as she saw Ning Fan, Mu Xiaoyang's face immediately turned red while Mei Chen's face turned as dark as the bottom of a pot. I won't be your demon pet even if I die. Do you hate me that much? Ning Fan continued to tease her. Of course. You're too shameless. Mei Chen said straightforwardly. Is that so? It turns out that you don't want to be my demon pet. This is giving me a headache. I thought of a way to bring you and Weiliang out of the demon sinister forest to see the outside world. However, you don't want to be my demon pet. If that's the case, I can't bring you away. Ning Fan intentionally sighed. What? You actually have a way to bring the ghosts and demons out of the demon sinister forest? How is this possible? Mei Chen's heart skipped a beat. The demon sinister forest was the land of 9 Yin. It belonged to the Yin world where ghosts and spirits lived. The ghosts and spirits in the Yin world couldn't go to the Yang world. Otherwise, they would turn into ashes and perish. Even if they were brought out of the heavenly dwelling, they could only live in the heavenly dwelling. They were not allowed to leave the heavenly dwelling. Even if Bone Sovereign wanted to leave the demon sinister forest, he would need to spend a lot of effort to condense a true soul clone. Ning Fan actually had a way to bring the ghosts and spirits out of the demon sinister forest. This was really unbelievable. If it was someone else, Mei Chen would certainly not believe it. However, Ning Fan never lied. If he said he had a way, he must have a way. Mei Chen really wanted to leave the demon sinister forest. She wanted to see the outside world more than those ghosts and spirits. She was the only demon in the demon sinister forest, the Yellow Spring Sable. She cultivated by devouring ghosts and spirits. Unlike the other ghosts and spirits who had died once, they had seen the colorful world outside. Mei Chen had never left the demon sinister forest in her entire life. She really wanted to go out and have a look. However, when she heard Ning Fan's half-threatening and half-tempting tone, she felt extremely displeased. Obviously, Ning Fan wanted to bring her out of the demon sinister forest as a condition to make her submit to him and become his demon pet. This made her very unhappy. She didn't like being threatened. Mei Chen gritted her teeth and stared at Ning Fan angrily. Are you threatening me? If I don't become your demon pet, you will never bring me out of the demon sinister forest, right? You're shameless. Ning Fan sighed and shook his head. He was just joking with Mei Chen. I'm just joking. I've obtained an ancient pill recipe. It's a low-grade 6th revolution pill. It's called True Yang Pill. It's specially made for ghosts like you. Once you consume it, your body will condense some yang qi. Even if you leave the demon's sinister forest, you won't turn into ashes. Of course, I'll be happy if you become my demon pet. If you don't want to, I won't force you. For the sake of our friendship, I will concoct this pill for you no matter what. However, if I bring you out of the demon's sinister forest, I hope you can promise me one thing. That is to protect my family. In exchange, I will find a way to find a high-grade 7th revolution healing pill for you. It will help you completely recover from your injuries and restore your 3rd heavenly layer void fragmentation cultivation base. I'll go to the 7th region to have a look. You should have a good rest. Ning Fan sighed slightly. He turned and left the room, walking into the rain. Mei Chen's expression froze. Her heart suddenly felt empty. She didn't know why, but when Ning Fan talked to her in the tone of a trade or a request, she felt distant and disappointed. She would rather Ning Fan be shameless and flirt with her. It was better than being distant to her. If I knew it would make me so upset, I might as well agree to be his demon pet. Stinky man. If I don't agree to be your demon pet, won't you beg me? Mei Chen gently bit her lips. Mu Xiaoyang looked at Mei Chen in confusion. She didn't understand why she sighed. Sister Mei Chen shouldn't be happy that we can leave the demon's sinister forest without having to be his demon pet. Why is she sighing? I don't understand. With Mu Xiaoyang's pure mind, she wouldn't be able to understand a woman's complicated feelings. Ning Fan held the blood-red umbrella and walked alone in the rain. Bone Sovereign's death, Ning Honghong's disappearance, Xiao Hei's alienation. All of these made him have mixed feelings. He raised his head and looked at the rain. Gradually, he felt that the sound of the rain was depressing. However, when he walked to the ruins of the 7th region and saw the battlefield full of corpses, he felt that the rain wasn't depressing at all. In fact, it felt a little desolate. Ning Fan suddenly realized that it wasn't the rain that was depressing and desolate. It was the human's mood. The raindrops fell from the sky. The trail was the life of the rain. Although the life of the rain was short, there were also joys and sorrows. One could see the human's mood in the rain. There were countless great Taos in the world. Everyone had their own Tao. If one had the mood to comprehend the Tao, he would probably be able to comprehend his own great Tao in the rain. Ning Fan's eyes were deep. He recalled the scenes when he entered the Dark Sparrow's grave. In the past, I thought that Kei Shensi had comprehended the divine intent of rain in the Dark Sparrow's grave. However, that wasn't the case. What Kei Shensi comprehended was the Tao. There is a great Tao in every type of rain. A drop of rain is enough to contain all the emotions in the world and the great Tao in the world. The circle formed by the raindrops is the great Tao. The trail of the raindrops is the trail of the great Tao. Ning Fan's eyes gradually became clear. The drizzle in front of him seemed to be frozen. The trail of each raindrop was slowed down infinitely as if it was still. He raised his hand and caught a raindrop, staring at it carefully. In that raindrop, he saw countless great Tao. However, some of them were real and some were fake. He could not tell them apart. His entire mind was immersed in the raindrop in his palm. The scenery in front of him changed, as if he was standing in a vast and boundless world of rain. In this world where raindrops intertwined, a gigantic golden ring was hanging in the boundless sky. The heavenly Tao ring. Ning Fan stood in this world of rain and his comprehension deepened. It turned out that a drop of rain also had its own heavenly Tao and the heavenly Tao was circular. It turned out that as long as one's heart becomes extremely small, even a drop of rain would be as huge as the entire world. If one's heart becomes bigger than the 4 heavens and 9 worlds, then perhaps the 4 heavens and 9 worlds would just be looking at a drop of rain. A world in a flower, a ruli in a leaf, is the world that I'm standing in boundlessly huge, or is it so small that it's just a drop of rain in the eyes of others? Ning Fan suddenly felt a sharp pain in his chest and coughed out blood. He withdrew his mind from the rain and his eyes gradually regained their clarity. The reason why he coughed out blood was because what he had comprehended was far beyond his cultivation realm. It was not something that he could see through with his current strength. In order to know the original appearance of the world, one would need to comprehend the true Tao that belonged to himself. This was the diligent pursuit of those immortals. This foolish younger brother actually wants to comprehend the true Tao from a drop of rain. What a terrifying comprehension ability! If it wasn't because his cultivation realm was too low, I'm afraid he would have obtained great benefits from this comprehension. I wonder if he would be able to comprehend the true Tao when his cultivation realm is sufficient in the future. In the profound Yin world, Luo Yu clicked her tongue inside. She was once again surprised by Ning Fan. Ning Fan spread his hands and let the raindrops fall on his palm without lingering on it. The great Tao contained in the raindrops was not something that he could comprehend with his current strength. Going too far is as bad as not going far enough. If he tries to comprehend the Tao forcefully, he would only end up destroying himself. The mouthful of blood that he coughed out was a warning. Sure enough, the matter of cultivation could only be done step by step. Let's go and take a look at the entrance of the 8th region. Ning Fan stepped across the ruins of the battlefield in the 7th region and walked forward in the evening rain. After walking for an unknown period of time, Ning Fan stopped and stood at the end of the 7th region. The first 7 regions of the demon sinister forest were separated by ghosts. However, the 7th region and the 8th region were separated by the realm-breaking light. On the path to the 8th region, there were layers of dazzling aurora lights that looked like giant mirrors blocking the path. Ning Fan patted his storage pouch and took out a mortal void magic treasure and threw it towards the aurora lights. The moment it touched the aurora lights, it immediately turned into ashes and dissipated. Ning Fan frowned. The aurora lights were extremely terrifying. Even void fragmentation realm experts and immortal void magic treasures would be turned into ashes. As long as the realm-breaking light existed, Ning Fan would not be able to enter the 8th region no matter what. Unfortunately, the 8th region and the 9th region of the demon sinister forest were located in the ancient heavenly court. Forget it. So what if I enter the ancient heavenly court in advance? With my current cultivation realm, there must be a lot of dangers in the ancient heavenly court. There's no need to rush. The matter of cultivation must be done step by step. I mustn't be greedy. The Tao comprehension that he had in the rain today had greatly improved his mental state. It's almost time for me to go. Concocting the true yang pill for Little Black isn't something that can be done overnight. I still lack a few types of spiritual herbs. I probably need to leave the demon sinister forest to purchase more spiritual herbs. I've been out for half a month. It's time for me to go back and tell them that I'm safe. Then I'll go to the Dark Sparrow's grave and see if I can bring Treant Min Luo out of the grave. Although I have a way to bring Little Black and Little Young out of the grave, I don't have the confidence to do so for the time being. I can only bring out his clone at most. Let's go and have a look first. Ning Fan returned to the Yellow Spring Demon City. It was better for him to bid farewell to Mei Chen and Mu Xiaoyang for the time being. In the Merit Palace of Sinister Sparrow Sect, the elder who was guarding the palace, Meng Chu, was dumbfounded. Beside him, the former sect master of Sinister Sparrow Sect, revealed a bitter smile. His cultivation base was already at the half-step nascent soul realm. He only needed a long seclusion before he could officially form his nascent soul. As soon as he came out of seclusion, he encountered something that made him not know whether to laugh or cry. In the Merit Palace, Ning Fan's contribution points had been rising at an incredible speed. Eventually, it exceeded the upper limit of the Merit Steel and shattered it. What earth-shattering thing did that brat do in the demon sinister forest this time? Could it be that he killed a void fragmentation ghost in the 7th region of the forest? Otherwise, how could his contribution points exceed the upper limit? Sinister Sparrow shook his head with a smile. He was just joking. He didn't think that Ning Fan had the strength to kill a void fragmentation ghost because it would be too unbelievable. Unfortunately, the truth was always unexpected. When he found out the truth of the demon Sinister Forest, it was already many years later. He couldn't imagine that a void glimpse stage cultivator could kill Bone Sovereign. Chapter 534. He left the low-grade 7th Revolution medicine for Mei Chen. He returned to 7 Apricot City and brought Bright Sparrow with him to Sinister Sparrow Sex Dark Sparrow's grave. When little Ming Ke left the Dark Sparrow's grave without permission, the Ming Luo Treant must have been very anxious. Ming Ke must have missed Elder Ming Luo a lot after not seeing him for so many years. The two of them came to Sinister Sparrow Sex Earth Origin Palace, but they didn't use the Earth Origin Palace's teleportation array like they did in the past. Ning Fan directly held Ming Ke's slender waist and used his Earth Escape technique to dive 100 zhang underground. The weight of 100,000 zhang was enough to crush a Gold Core Realm cultivator to death, but it was nothing to Ning Fan. Both of them appeared in the first level of the Dark Sparrow's grave. It was gloomy and rainy, just like in the past. The rain in the first level of Dark Sparrow's grave carried the chill of spring. Ning Fan's eyes were filled with nostalgia. He held the blood-red umbrella and accompanied Ming Ke in the spring rain. As for Ming Ke, her face was filled with worry. She was gnawing on a 5th revolution pill while looking at Ning Fan pleadingly. Biscuit brother, that year, I left Dark Sparrow's grave without saying goodbye. Grandpa must be very worried and angry. When you see Grandpa later, please put in a good word for me. Don't let Grandpa spank my butt, silly girl. Your grandfather may seem cold and strict, but he treats you extremely well. When he saw you return safely, he was overjoyed. How could he bear to beat you? He's your grandpa, your relative. Really? Elder really won't hit me. A trace of demonic black radiance flashed across Bright Sparrow's pitch-black eyes and she immediately cheered up. A trace of void inquiry stage aura force was actually emitting from his every move. During the half a month that Ning Fan had entered the demon Sinister Forest, Ming Ke had actually consumed all the pills she had and broken through to the void inquiry stage. When he returned to 7 Apricot City and saw little Ming Ke who had just broken through to the void inquiry stage, Ning Fan was left speechless. It has only been less than a year since she broke through to the void glimpse stage and now, she has already broken through to the void inquiry stage. Isn't her cultivation speed a little too shocking? However, when he thought about it carefully, it was reasonable for the little girl to break through to the void inquiry stage so quickly. Ning Fan was the one who personally sealed the void poison in Ming Ke's body 40 years ago. That was the poison of the primordial underworld sparrow's tail wing, which contained a rare large amount of underworld magic power. The magic power contained within the void poison was equivalent to the total magic power of a spatial tempering cultivator. Before breaking through to the void glimpse stage, Ming Ke did not refine the magic power of the void poison. However, after breaking through to the void glimpse stage, Ming Ke continued to consume 5th revolution pills while refining the dark demon power. Her magic power had more than doubled within a year, allowing her to break through to the void inquiry stage in one go. Little Pill Devil was indeed very heaven-defying, but the void poison had already been completely refined by her, so there would no longer be such a terrifying leveling speed. If he wanted to break through to the void pierce stage, he could only consume 6th revolution pills. Brother Biscuit, I miss Grandpa. I miss Rain Baby, I miss Wolf Baby, I miss Medicine Baby. Ming Ke chirped happily. Ning Fan just listened to her with a smile and walked towards the lower level. In the 2nd level of Dark Sparrow's grave, Xia Yu. There was no rain in the 3rd level of Dark Sparrow's grave. It was autumn rain in the 4th level of Dark Sparrow's grave. In the 5th level of Dark Sparrow's grave, there was an icy rain. Ning Fan stood in the 5th level of the Dark Sparrow's grave for a long time. The pit of earth fire where he concocted pills for Ming Ke in the past was still there. He still remembered the words of enlightenment he had heard in the past. What is rain? With a flip of my hand, I can summon clouds and rain with a flip of my hand. The divine transformation realm demonic beasts who had mocked him in the past all prostrated themselves on the ground when they saw him, not daring to look at him. In their eyes, the white-robed young man who was holding the blood umbrella was too dangerous. He was strong enough to easily slaughter all the demonic beasts in the 5th level. These ferocious beasts would never imagine that the white-robed fiend in front of them was a mere harmonious spirit realm cultivator 40 years ago. Brother Biscuit, they looked down on you in the past. Do you want me to teach them a lesson? Ming Ke revealed her cute little canine teeth. She straightened her golden crown and waved her fists, looking like she wanted to fight these ferocious beasts. The past is over. Let's go to the 6th level. Ning Fan gently held Ming Ke's pink and tender palm in his hand to prevent her from running around and causing trouble. Holding the blood umbrella, he walked through the icy rain. The coldness was no longer bone-piercing. It could only give Ning Fan a faint chill. That was all. The 6th level of the Dark Sparrow's grave. Rain of swords. Kill with your mind. Turn your killing into swords. Turn your swords into rain. Kill with rain. This rain was the rain of slaughter. However, its killing intent could no longer affect Ning Fan's state of mind. Ning Fan walked on the 6th level of the Dark Sparrow's grave. His spirit sense spread to 200,000 li and his brows gradually furrowed. It was strange. Very strange, there weren't as many void refinement realm ferocious beasts in the 6th level. In the past, there were at least 100 void refinement realm ferocious beasts in this place. Now, there were only 5 or 6 of them left. They seemed to have yet to recover from their severe injuries. As soon as they saw Ning Fan, they immediately shivered. The mountains and rivers in the surroundings were filled with traces of battles and collapses. There should be a lot of demon babies in the 6th level in the past. Why are there only a few of them now? Even Ming Ke could see the abnormality. Ning Fan frowned. He spread out his spirit sense to check the remaining chi of magic power in this place. The chi of the expert who destroyed the mountains and rivers here was very familiar, so that's how it is. He was the one who killed a large number of void refinement realm ferocious beasts in this place. Let's go to the 7th level and have a look. Ning Fan seemed to have guessed it. He directly led Ming Ke to the 7th level of the grave. 40 years ago, there were 6 void fragmentation realm and 2nd heavenly layer demonic beasts in the 7th level. Today, none of them were left. The thunderstorm in the 7th level was still as violent as before. It still contained Ke Shenxi's comprehension. Thunder from the flat ground, rain from the sky and I want to kill. However, the mountains and rivers within a million li were all flattened. The landscape was no longer the same as before. Ning Fan spread out his spirit sense and found 6 traces of extremely dense baleful chi in the 7th level. Each of them was left behind by a void fragmentation realm expert. Although Ning Fan had guessed who killed these ferocious beasts, he was still deeply shocked. The 6 void fragmentation realm ferocious beasts in the 7th level were all killed by that person. The 6 void fragmentation realm demon babies of the 7th level are all gone. Ming Ke said in astonishment. They are all dead. They were killed by someone. Ning Fan said indifferently. How could this be? All of the 6 demon babies here were at the void fragmentation realm. Who could be so powerful to kill all of them? It's too scary. Ming Ke's mouth was agape. Let's go to the 8th level and have a look, the 8th level of the grave, the heaven-defying rain. Ning Fan and Ming Ke stepped into the 8th level. When they saw the desolated land and sensed the remnant baleful chi, they immediately sighed. There's no need to look anymore. All the void fragmentation realm demonic beasts in the 8th level are dead. In the past, there were 3 void fragmentation experts in the 8th level, 2 at the 3rd level and 1 at the 4th level. All of them had attacked Ningfan. Now, there were only 3 traces of baleful qi left by the void fragmentation experts in the 8th level. Without a doubt, all the void fragmentation experts including the snake-scaled old man were dead. So many void fragmentation realm demon babies are dead. Would Grandpa be in danger? Who is it? Who entered the grave and killed so many void fragmentation realm demon babies? I want to find Grandpa. I'm so worried. Grandpa must not die. Ming Ke was so anxious that she almost cried. Ning Fan didn't know whether to laugh or cry. He patted Ming Ke's head and comforted her. Silly girl, can't you see it? The one who killed all the way from the 6th level to the 8th level is your grandpa Ming Luo. Other than him, who else in the Rain world could be so powerful to kill all the 9 void fragmentation realm demonic beasts in the grave? Is that so? Does that mean Grandpa is safe and sound? That scared me to death. I thought something happened to Grandpa. Ming Ke patted her chest cutely and resumed her smiling expression. Even experts like the Rain Sovereign Yun Tianjue would not be able to eliminate all 9 void fragmentation realm beasts in the Dark Sparrow's grave. The fact that Ming Luo Treant was able to kill 9 void fragmentation realm experts on his own showed that his cultivation base was unimaginably high. Among the 9 void fragmentation realm ferocious beasts, the one with the highest cultivation base was at the 4th layer of the void fragmentation realm. However, all of them died in the hands of Ming Luo. He remembered that Ming Luo had a total of 100,000 divine transformation realm clones in the past. The demonic power of 100,000 clones combined to form a single clone. That clone's cultivation base was as high as the 5th heavenly layer of the void fragmentation realm. Just his clone alone already had a cultivation base of the 5th heavenly layer of the void fragmentation realm. How high exactly was the cultivation base of Ming Luo Trent's main body? In the past, Ning Fan had never thought about this question. Now, he was rather interested to know about it. He and Bright Sparrow walked to the entrance of the 9th level of Dark Sparrow's grave. Over there was a short and small old man standing like a tree stump. His zombie-like face was gloomy as he glared at Bright Sparrow furiously. There was a trace of joy hidden deep in his muddy old eyes, but he deliberately reprimanded her fiercely. Humph! Damned girl! Do you know how much I've been worried about you for the past 40 years? This short and small old man was the clone of Ming Luo Treant. He emitted the aura force of the 5th heavenly layer of void fragmentation realm. As soon as he reprimanded him coldly, Bright Sparrow immediately felt a lump in her throat. She sat on the ground and cried. Grandpa, I'm sorry. Bright Sparrow knows her mistake. Bright Sparrow won't dare to do it again. When Bright Sparrow cried, the short and small old man immediately showed a distressed expression. He approached her and blamed himself endlessly. He had actually scolded the innocent and cute little Bright Sparrow to tears. It was a mistake. It was a huge mistake, Grandpa, it's not good. I shouldn't have scolded you. Bright Sparrow, don't cry. The short and small old man was at a loss of what to do. He didn't know how to coax Bright Sparrow. Give me a lot of medicinal herbs and I won't cry anymore. Bright Sparrow sobbed pitifully. There was a trace of slyness hidden in her eyes. This slyness could fool Ming Luo, who was confused because of his concern, but it couldn't fool Ning Fan. Ning Fan didn't know whether to laugh or cry. This time, Bright Sparrow secretly went to the endless sea and learned to pretend to cry. In order to stop Bright Sparrow from crying, the short and small old man naturally agreed to all her requests. All right. I'll give you as many spiritual herbs as you want. Please don't cry, my little ancestor. Don't hurt your body from crying. Bright Sparrow was a void inquiry stage cultivator. Would she hurt her body from crying? Ming Luo really spoiled her too much. Ning Fan shook his head. He grabbed little Bright Sparrow's collar and pulled her up from the ground. You're not allowed to cry anymore. If you cry again, I won't concoct pills for you anymore. I won't cry anymore. I won't cry anymore. Bright Sparrow rubbed her small face on Ning Fan's sleeve and wiped away her snot and tears. Then, her tears turned into a smile. Ming Luo was startled. His mind was already as sharp as a human's. He was confused because he was too concerned about the previous incident. At this moment, he immediately realized that he was fooled by Bright Sparrow's fake crying. He really didn't know whether to laugh or cry. However, seeing that Bright Sparrow was safe and sound, he was happier than anything else. Naturally, he couldn't reprimand her with a stern face anymore. After carefully checking Bright Sparrow's cultivation base, Ming Luo's expression immediately changed. It has only been 40 years and the void poison in your body has actually been completely refined. Moreover, your cultivation base has actually reached the void inquiry stage. This is really. Even a super expert like Ming Luo was shocked by Bright Sparrow's terrifying cultivation speed. The reason why I can quickly improve my cultivation base and refine the void poison is all thanks to Brother Biscuit who gave me a lot of delicious pill biscuits. Bright Sparrow pulled Ning Fan's dirty sleeve with an incomparably intimate expression. Ming Luo was startled again. Only then did he carefully look at Ning Fan. It's you. Ning Fan was speechless. How weak did he have to be to make Ming Luo directly ignore him and only notice him now? You have actually broken through to the void glimpse stage. Ming Luo was shocked again. The little girl Bright Sparrow had the pill devil physique and the bloodline of the immemorial Dark Sparrow royal clan. It was understandable that her cultivation base could improve so quickly. However, according to Ming Luo's observation in the past, Ning Fan definitely didn't have any special physique. Even though he cultivated the immemorial devil technique, it was only the yin-yang transformation which was a dual cultivation devil technique. It wasn't the best fiend god cultivation method. It had only been 40 years and Ning Fan's cultivation base had actually advanced to the void refinement realm. This was even more shocking to Ming Luo than Bright Sparrow's void refinement realm. After 40 years, this was the first time Ming Luo looked at Ning Fan from the perspective of cultivation. He carefully looked at Ning Fan and felt an extremely terrifying baleful qi from Ning Fan's body. Immediately, his old eyes trembled. The horror of that baleful qi could only be left behind by a fifth heavenly layer void fragmentation expert. Other than the void fragmentation baleful qi, the amount of baleful qi in Ning Fan's body was enough to show how many blood seas he had gone through in these 40 years. It's definitely not a coincidence that this young man could break through to the void refinement realm at the age of 500. This young man's innate talent isn't the best, but I'm afraid some of the void fragmentation devils in the tree world can't be compared to him. Ming Luo straightened his expression and suddenly cupped his fists at Ning Fan. This little girl Bright Sparrow is insensible and ran out of the Dark Sparrow's grave. Thank you for bringing her back safely. I, Ming Luo, owe you another favor. If you have any difficulties that you need help with, just say it. This old man will certainly do his best to help you. Ning Fan smiled faintly. Things were smoother than he had imagined. Before he opened his mouth, Ming Luo had already consciously promised to help him return the favor. Ning Fan cupped his fists and returned the greeting. He didn't mention the matter of helping Ming Luo first. Instead, he asked, "May I ask, Senior, were the void fragmentation realm beasts of the 6th, 7th and 8th levels killed by Senior?" Yes. Little Shiji and the others of the 8th level had attacked Bright Sparrow in the past. This old man naturally couldn't let them go, so I killed all of them. As for the other few levels, cough cough cough, they were unlucky. Bright Sparrow secretly left the Dark Sparrow's grave. This old man was worried and upset all day long. However, they still had to scream and make me angry. There was no need to say the rest of the words. Obviously, Ming Luo was in a bad mood because of Bright Sparrow's departure. That was why he killed all the Void Fragmentation Realm beasts to vent his anger. What a tyrannical Ming Luo tree spirit. He only treated Bright Sparrow well but was so cruel to others. Fortunately, Ning Fan and Bright Sparrow had a deep friendship. Ming Luo was a friend and not an enemy. If Ming Luo was in a bad mood in the future, he wouldn't find Ning Fan to vent his anger. Junior still has a question. What realm has Senior's true body reached? Ning Fan asked again. You want to know? Ming Luo's old face squeezed out a trace of an ugly smile. There was a trace of pride in his old eyes, but the answer he gave Ning Fan was shocked. This old man's true body is a loose demon's cultivation base. Rogue demon. Ning Fan's eyes were shocked. The true body of this wretched and short old man was actually a rogue demon expert, rogue immortal, rogue devil. Such a person was already standing at the peak of the Void Fragmentation realm. There was no one in the lower 3 realms who could reach such a level. The 9 realms were divided into the upper 3 realms, the middle 3 realms and the lower 3 realms. The upper 3 realms were the Devil realm, Demon realm and Heaven immortal realm. They were the 3 strongest realms in the 9 realms. There were also rogue immortal old monsters guarding them. The middle 3 realms were the Earth immortal realm, Mountain realm and Fire realm. Although there were no rogue immortals guarding them, the strength of the cultivators in the inner realms was incomparable to the Rain world. The lower 3 realms were the Tree realm, Sword realm and Rain realm. Both the Tree realm and Sword realm were stronger than the Rain world and the Rain world was the weakest. Ming Luo Tree Demon was born in the Tree realm, but he had cultivated to become a rogue demon. This was indeed somewhat shocking. Unfortunately, Ming Luo couldn't leave the Dark Sparrow's grave. If he could, he only needed to help Ning Fan once, which was more than enough to kill Moksha Sovereign. Ning Fan sighed in his heart. He couldn't bring Ming Luo's true body to the Dark Sparrow's grave this time. At most, he could bring his 5th heavenly layer Void Fragmentation clone out of the grave. Even if he could bring it out, Ming Luo's clone must take root in Yu country and couldn't leave the radius of 50 million li of Yu country. The role of Ming Luo's clone was at most to guard the house and protect Yu country. Junior has a way to bring Senior's clone out of the grave. I wonder if Senior is willing to let the clone leave the grave and see the scenery outside. Oh. Do you have such an ability? Ming Luo was startled at first. Then, he gave Ning Fan a meaningful glance and said with a smile, "Brat, do you have something to ask this old man for help?" That's right. Junior does have a way to let Senior's clone leave the grave, but it can't leave the radius of 50 million li of Yu country. Junior also has something to ask of Senior. My family members are all in Yu country. I hope that Senior can protect them when I'm not around. With Senior's presence, I'm afraid that even the Divine King of the Rain world wouldn't be able to hurt my close relatives. Ning Fan said earnestly. The Divine King of the Rain world? Who does he think he is? My true body can eliminate him in 2 or 3 moves, but, you are a little too greedy. This old man has promised you a favor, but you want me, a dignified rogue demon, to guard your house? This old man is not going to help you. Ming Luo waved his hand, refusing to help Ning Fan. Bright Sparrow is also one of my family members. She will also live in Yu country and might encounter danger. What he meant was that even if you don't guard someone else's house, you should be willing to guard Bright Sparrow's door, right? Sure enough, after hearing that Bright Sparrow might be in danger, Ming Luo's eyes hesitated. After pondering for a moment, he glared at Ning Fan and said, "Fine. For the sake of Bright Sparrow, I will help you protect that annoying Yu country, but this old man still wants to ask, do you really have a way to let my clone leave the grave and get some fresh air outside?" Of course. Good. If you can really do it, this old man will help you guard Yu country. Just treat it as going out to relax. Why not? Ming Luo laughed heartily. How many years had it been since he left the grave? By the way, Junior has a question to ask Senior. Do you still have the flesh and blood of those void fragmentation beasts that Senior has killed? Ning Fan suddenly asked. Of course I do. Those are 9 void fragmentation beasts. Their flesh and demon cores are all good stuff, eh? You want their corpses? Yes. Ning Fan didn't pretend and said bluntly. Oh. This old man is very curious. What do you want these corpses for? Brewing wine and concocting pills. Ning Fan's eyes lit up. If he could brew wine with the blood and flesh of these 9 void fragmentation beasts and concoct fierce cultivation pills, his magical force and spirit sense would certainly skyrocket. This old man has heard of concocting pills, but brewing wine, this old man has never heard of anyone using the blood of void fragmentation beasts to brew wine. I'm sorry, this old man didn't say that I would give these corpses to you. This old man is also a demon. Consuming their corpses can improve my cultivation base. Before Ming Luo could finish his words, Bright Sparrow suddenly pulled Ming Luo's sleeve. Her eyes looked as if they could shoot out innocent little stars and pleaded. Grandpa, good grandpa, Brother Biscuit treats me very well. Can you just give him those corpses? If he uses those corpses to concoct pills, I can also eat them to improve my magical force. Don't you think so? If you don't give those corpses to Brother Biscuit, it means that you don't love Bright Sparrow anymore. Under the attack of Bright Sparrow's eyes, Ming Luo sighed helplessly. All right. Give all those corpses to your Brother Biscuit. This old man doesn't want any of them. This should be fine, right? A girl's heart is always on the outside. Chapter 535. No one knew how long the true body of the Minluo Treant had been trapped in the Dark Sparrow's grave. He was just a void fragmentation realm demon cultivator. His lifespan should have come to an end a long time ago. Fortunately, the Minluo Dryad had created a heaven-defying method to transform his body into a tree. He had completely cultivated into a tree and lost the possibility of turning back into a human. Ming Luo extracted his demon soul and cultivated countless incarnations, using them to move around in Dark Sparrow's grave. Because his main body had degenerated into a tree, his divine abilities were greatly reduced, but his lifespan wasn't evergreen. After enduring for a long time, he could still advance through growth. As time passed, Treant Min Luo's cultivation increased day by day. Eventually, his true body grew to the level of an independent demon. Although his true form was a rogue demon, he was a rogue demon that couldn't move or transform. His roots were rooted in Dark Sparrow's grave, and he would never be able to leave it. If he burned his demon soul and risked his life to escape, Ming Luo would be able to leave the Dark Sparrow's grave in a very short period of time, but he would certainly turn into ashes after that. There might be a way for Ming Luo to turn back into a demon tree and leave the Dark Sparrow's grave, but unfortunately, Ning Fan didn't know about it. The heavenly Tao was fair. The Ming Luo Treant had survived countless years with his tree body, so the chance of him transforming into a demon again was naturally slim. The only thing he could do was to bring the clone of Ming Luo Treant out of the grave. This was an imitation of Bone Sovereign's method. Bone Sovereign had cultivated his true soul incarnation, but his main body couldn't leave the demon sinister forest. Hence, he used his true soul incarnation to sneak out. Ning Fan followed suit. He only needed to concoct some low-grade 6th revolution true soul pills for Ming Luo to help him condense a true soul clone in the shortest time possible. Ming Luo Trent's true soul was different from Bone Sovereign's. Bone Sovereign's true body was unharmed while his true soul could move freely in the outside world after leaving the demon sinister forest. Ming Luo's main body, on the other hand, had degenerated into a tree. His clone could not be too far away from his main body. Otherwise, it would be like a fallen leaf that would never be able to return to the branch and could only wither and die. Ming Luo's true soul doppelganger could only move within the radius of 50 million miles of Yu country. In the Dark Sparrow's grave, Ning Fan told Ming Luo all the plans and both of them made an agreement. After that, Ning Fan took the 9 void fragmentation realm beast corpses from Ming Luo's hands as well as a large number of spiritual herbs that were 10,000 years and above. Then, he bid farewell and left. He did not take Bright Sparrow away immediately. Ming Ke and Min Luo Treant had been separated for many years. Now that they were reunited, they would definitely have a lot of things to talk about. Jing Jing returned to 7 Apricot City alone. Seeing the changes in 7 Apricot City, Ning Fan gradually relaxed. The people of the 7 Apricot 4 clans were organized into the 7 Apricot branch temples by Su Yan and Yu Lingkong. It was divided into the Refining Hall, Alchemy Hall, Physique Cultivation Hall, Sword Cultivation Hall, Demonic Cultivation Hall. The 3 Black Demon armies became the Black Demon Hall. Sinister Sparrow sect submitted to 7 Apricot City and became Sinister Sparrow Palace. The Fire Cloud sect submitted to 7 Apricot City and became the Fire Cloud Hall. All the major sects were still in their old locations. It should be said that the current Yu country after the merger was the sphere of influence of 7 Apricot City. Ning Fan did not ask about the matters related to the development of his forces. Instead, he let his women be in charge of it. He trusted them very much. In the Cauldron world, the Ning family's female guard was also building the interface like wildfire. Everyone had their own things to do. Of course, there were also a few extremely bored women who passed their days leisurely. For example, Ji He, Mu Xiaohuan, Bai Su, Feng Shuiyan, Ning Fan stood in the middle of the snowy 7 Apricot City. Looking back at the mortal world, he felt as if he was in a dream. He could finally have some peace and stay in 7 Apricot City for a period of time. There were no battles or battles. There was only peace and tranquility. Starting from the Void Refinement realm, the advancement of each level is extremely difficult. An ordinary Void Glimpse stage cultivator would need at least 1,000 years to break through to the Void Inquiry stage. Those with slightly inferior innate talents might need several thousand years. Those with slightly inferior Tao comprehension might not be able to attain the Void Inquiry stage in their entire lives. I want 10 years to reach the Void Inquiry stage. Ning Fan held the blood wine gourd in his hand. 10 years was the time needed for the blood wine to be brewed. He placed the blood essence of the 9 void fragmentation realm ferocious beasts into the Xian Wei blood gourd. 10 years later, when the blood wine is brewed, all of this blood wine would be a great help to Ning Fan's breakthrough to the Void Inquiry stage. It will take 10 years for the wine to be brewed. During these 10 years, I still have many things to do. For example, improving my cultivation method, improving my spirit sense and also, preparing to resist the Void Inquiry stage heavenly tribulation. Before that, I must first concoct the True Yang pill and True Soul pill and bring Xiao He and the Ming Luo tree spirit back to 7 Apricot City. Ning Fan began to concoct the True Yang pill and True Soul pill. Both of them were low-grade 6th revolution pills. It was not easy for Ning Fan to concoct them. During the day, Ning Fan went into the dark golden pagoda to concoct 2 types of pills. When night fell, he returned to 7 Apricot City to rest and accompany the girls for a good night. After a month, Ning Fan had concocted 2 True Yang pills and 20 True Soul pills. Then, he returned to the Demon Sinister Forest and the Dark Sparrow's grave. 10 days later, when he returned to 7 Apricot City, he brought back 2 people and a sable. Ming Luo's True Soul avatar had the cultivation base of the 5th heavenly layer of the Void Fragmentation realm. He promised Ning Fan to protect 7 Apricot City, but he did not like the clamor of 7 Apricot City. Thus, he stayed alone in a barren mountain 1,000 li away. Mu Xiaoyang was one of the 3 souls of Mu Weiliang. Soon, she became good sisters with Ji He and Mu Xiaohuan. They were as close as sisters. From then on, Mu Xiaoyang joined 7 Apricot City's casual eating and drinking team. The 3 souls had been found, and all that was left was Mu Weiyang's 7 spirits. Mei Chen did not appear in her human form. Instead, she stayed in 7 Apricot City as a small sable. She would stay in Ning Fan's empty room during the day. When Ning Fan returned at night, she would leave angrily. She did not want to meet Ning Fan face to face, as if she was still in a fit of pique. Others only thought that the small sable was Ning Fan's demon pet. Only Su Yan and a few other girls knew Mei Chen's true identity. She was a void fragmentation realm demon cultivator. Ever since 7 Apricot City had the protection of Mei Chen and Ming Luo, Ning Fan felt more at ease and gradually got used to the life in 7 Apricot City. His heart gradually calmed down. This kind of calmness was something that he had never felt before when he stepped into the bloody sea of cultivation. He stayed in 7 Apricot City for 10 years. 10 years of silence, 10 years of peace, 10 years of tranquility in 10 years of companionship. He had not killed a single person for 10 years. He had almost forgotten that he was once a devil lord that rampaged across the rain world. Every day, Ning Fan would only spend half a day cultivating and concocting pills. The other half of the day would be spent in meditation. Occasionally, he would disappear for a few days to half a month, burying his head in the pagoda to cultivate. Sometimes, he would stay in 7 Apricot City for more than 10 days in a row. 10 years had passed in the outside world and half of the time in the pagoda had been spent. Ning Fan had cultivated in the 7th floor of the dark golden pagoda for more than 400 years. During the time he spent cultivating in the pagoda, Ning Fan resumed his cultivation of the Black Devil art as a fire elemental cultivation method. At the same time, he carefully cultivated the cultivation method of the Divine Sovereign of the Rain World, the Sovereign Rain primordial art as an ice elemental cultivation method. He concocted the void-consuming pill to consume the void fragmentation realm Dao fruit. However, he did not consume it immediately. Instead, he waited for the blood wine to be brewed before consuming it. He used the flesh and blood of 9 void fragmentation realm ferocious beasts to concoct fierce cultivation pills. However, the gigantic bodies of the 9 ferocious beasts were only enough to concoct 9 fierce cultivation pills. Ning Fan also used the corpses of the realm beasts to concoct the 10th fierce cultivation pill. The quality of this 10th fierce cultivation pill was obviously 10 times better than the previous 9 pills. After all, the energy contained in the flesh and blood of the realm beasts was far beyond that of the void fragmentation realm ferocious beasts. He consumed 10 fierce cultivation pills in succession and began to concoct pills to eat the sense beads of void refinement realm and void fragmentation realm ghosts. Ning Fan's spirit sense was improving day by day. However, no one knew exactly what level his spirit sense had reached. It was the 3rd year that Ning Fan stayed in 7 Apricot City. A vast spirit sense quietly swept across the 400,000 li radius of 7 Apricot City. In the entire Yu country, other than Mei Chen and Ming Luo, no one else noticed this divine sense sweep past. Grand Void Grade Spirit Sense. This young man's cultivation base is just at the void glimpse stage, but his spirit sense has actually improved to such a level. In the desolate mountain, Ming Luo's eyes were filled with shock. After the improvement of his spirit sense was completed and his cultivation method had also reached a bottleneck, Ning Fan began to concoct True Void Pill, Wondrous Sound Pill and other 6th Revolution pills that could increase his magic power. He had obtained a large amount of spirit herbs from the Demon Sinister Forest and the Dark Sparrow's Grave, enough for him to squander for 10 years. He would refine Dan in the day and return to 7 Apricot City to rest at night. Time passed day by day. His FA Li increased bit by bit and his alchemy skills also improved bit by bit. His medicine soul was extremely strong to begin with, and it was not far from the mid-grade 6th Revolution medicine soul. In the 7th year of the outside world, a vast medicine soul power suddenly appeared in 7 Apricot City. In a barren mountain thousands of miles away, the Min Luo Treant was shocked once again. Mid-6th Revolution Pill Refinement Technique. This young man's bone age is still young, but his alchemy skills have already reached such a high level. After spending more than 400 years in the tower, Ning Fan had almost used up all the 50,000 years and 100,000 years old spiritual herbs he had. After concocting a void inquiry pill that could increase his void inquiry stage comprehension, he no longer concocted any other pills. For the remaining time, he no longer entered the tower. Instead, he stayed in 7 Apricot City and Yu Country. He picked up the Tao of formations and began to make mortal void realm formation discs. All of these discs were grand defensive formations prepared for transcending the void inquiry stage heavenly tribulation. He refined the star positioning plate again and integrated many formations into it. It was also to prepare for transcending the heavenly tribulation. Ning Fan knew that he had completely offended the heavenly Tao. The heavenly tribulation this time would be extremely terrifying. He would not find it strange even if a void fragmentation realm heavenly tribulation befalls him. In the last 3 years, Ning Fan used a large number of Tao crystals to make 100 mortal void grand formation discs. There were only 2,000 Tao crystals left, which was equivalent to 10 billion immortal jade. When these 100 discs were activated at the same time, the formation light that they emitted was extremely terrifying. Even an old monster at the first heavenly layer of the void fragmentation realm would not be able to break the formation light in a short period of time. Ning Fan distributed the powerful magic treasures that he had obtained from killing for many years to the ladies, leaving only a majority of the magic treasures that were slightly inferior. He was prepared to discard all of them in order to transcend the heavenly tribulation. Time passed day by day. 10 years had passed and the blood wine was brewed. For 10 whole years, Ning Fan lived a peaceful life in the snow of 7 Apricot City. For 10 whole years, Ning Fan's hands were not stained with blood and he did not kill a single person. 10 years of preparation was just to break through to the void inquiry stage. After the blood wine was brewed, Ning Fan gave his ladies some instructions and left 7 Apricot City alone. He did not want to repeat Old Devil's mistake. He would not transcend the heavenly tribulation in 7 Apricot City. Since he knew that the heavenly tribulation this time would be extremely terrifying, he wanted to find a secluded and spacious place to set up 100 layers of void rank grand formations and transcend the heavenly tribulation alone. Ning Fan traveled all the way to the south. After passing through more than 10 cultivation countries, he finally arrived at the southern gazing sea of the Rain World. The Endless Sea was located in the extreme east of the Rain World, while the southern gazing sea was located in the extreme south of the Rain World. Yu Country was located in the southeastern continent of the Rain World. To a cultivator at Ning Fan's level, it would not take him too much time to travel from Yu Country to these two sea regions. There were not as many cultivators in the southern gazing sea as there were in the Endless Sea. The sea region was extremely vast, but there were rarely any cultivators cultivating there. After Ning Fan arrived at the southern gazing sea, he traveled all the way to the south. Eventually, he chose a deserted island with a radius of 1 million li and set up 100 layers of mortal void grand formations on the island. He sat cross-legged on the peak of a lone mountain on the deserted island and adjusted his condition. Once he was in his best condition, he would consume the void fragmentation realm Tao fruit, blood wine and void inquiry pill in one go and break through to the void inquiry stage. Tens of millions of li away from the deserted island, there was a gloomy cave residence that was filled with piles of white bones on a certain island. Inside the cave residence, 3 scantily clad female cultivators were surrounding a crystal ball magic treasure, peeking at the scene that was tens of millions of li away. If there were void refinement cultivators who had lived in the southern gazing sea for a long time, they would definitely recognize who these 3 female cultivators were at first glance and would definitely not dare to provoke them. These 3 female cultivators were the infamous 3 fairies Feng Wan of the southern gazing sea. They were all demonic women with the demonic bloodline of the Phoenix clan, and they were the three overlords of the southern gazing sea. The Yao arts that the three females cultivated were extremely vicious. They needed to eat large numbers of males to increase their cultivation. Among the three women, one of them was at the absolute void stage while the other two were at the void pierce stage. Even though the demon power of the three women was weak due to eating humans repeatedly, their strength was still not to be underestimated. When the three of them joined forces, they had once killed a few void refinement realm experts of the Rain world. Later on, the three women were ordered by the Rain Palace not to leave the Southern Ocean Sea for the rest of their lives. They were only allowed to kill within the Southern Ocean Sea. Because of the three immortals who liked to eat men, few cultivators were willing to come to the Southern Gazing Sea to cultivate. The three immortals had not tasted the flesh of a void refinement realm male for many years. This white-robed man looks quite handsome. If the three of us can capture him, we can pluck his flesh first before we eat and kill him. A void pierce stage female demon looked at Ning Fan in the crystal ball and licked her red lips with her fragrant tongue, as if she was looking at a plate of delicious food. Her beautiful eyes flickered with dark green light. We can't. Didn't you see it? The 100 layers of formation light that he set up on the barren island are all at the mortal void realm. Putting aside the fact that he could get his hands on so many mortal void realm formation discs, he must be someone with a strong background. Just the fact that he has the protection of these 100 layers of formation light means that we definitely won't be able to break through the formation light and capture him. Another void pierce stage female demon said worriedly. I'm not afraid. The reason why this person appeared in the Southern Gazing Sea and set up 100 layers of mortal void realm formation light on the barren island is probably because he wants to transcend his tribulation. Heh. This person's cultivation base is just at the void glimpse stage. He is probably going to break through to the void inquiry stage and transcend his tribulation. It's just a void inquiry stage tribulation, but he actually prepared so many formation discs. This is enough to prove that this person is an extremely cowardly person. It also means that his combat power is low. As long as the three of us wait for him to complete his tribulation, regardless of whether he succeeds in breaking through to the void inquiry stage or not, he will definitely be severely injured and slack off. When that time comes, we can suddenly launch a sneak attack and capture him without spilling a single drop of blood. Whether he dies or cuts into pieces, isn't it all up to us? As soon as the female demon of the absolute void realm said that, her eyes flashed with dark green demonic light and she licked her lips. She had been living in the Southern Gazing Sea for a long time and had never stepped into the continent of the Rain world. Thus, she did not know Ning Fan's identity. Even if she knew, she would not be afraid of a void glimpse stage male given her absolute void stage cultivation base. Given her unscrupulous personality, she would not be afraid of any force either. Let's wait for him to transcend his tribulation. The moment he completes his tribulation will be the moment of his death. He's just a void glimpse stage cultivator. He. The female demon of the absolute void realm sneered coldly. She did not put Ning Fan in her eyes at all. On the summit of a lone mountain on the barren island, Ning Fan suddenly opened his eyes which glinted with cold light. Interesting. I have only stopped killing for 10 years and the void refinement realm cultivators in the Rain world have already forgotten about my ferocious name. Ning Fan spread his spirit sense 400,000 li but he did not discover any human figures within his range. However, he could vaguely feel that he was being spied on. He closed his eyes and carefully sensed his surroundings. He could vaguely sense that the ones who were spying on him were three void refinement realm cultivators. When he took a closer look, he realized that the three auras were clearly the auras of women. They did not conceal their killing intent towards Ning Fan at all. 3 human cauldrons that came to my doorstep, huh? That's good. It saves me the trouble of catching human cauldrons. After I successfully transcend my tribulation, I will use the cultivation bases of these 3 women to help me stabilize my void inquiry stage cultivation base. You're tuning into the Han Lee's Wuxia Chronicles YouTube channel. We're so grateful for your support, and don't forget to subscribe to join us on this incredible journey through captivating stories. Your generosity through donations truly makes a world of difference, as it's the primary source of revenue that allows me to expand and enhance this channel for you. Thank you from the bottom of my heart for being a part of this adventure.